Good morning and good afternoon to every participant for today's Virtual Business Growth Program. Myself, CA Abhay Kumar Chajid, Central Council member, welcome all of you. We have with us our Honorable President of ICI, CA Dr. Debashish Mitra. Welcome you, sir. We have our Honorable Vice President, sir, CA Aniket Sunil Talati. Welcome you, sir. I have my council colleague and the Chairman of Accounting Standard Board, CA Pramod Jain ji, the Convener of Financial and Tax Literacy, CA Dayanivas Sharma ji, and Vice Chairman of Auditing and Accounting Standard Board, Vishal Doshi ji. Also, we have the office staff, the secretaries of ICI, SN Gupta ji, Parminder madam, Shali madam, and all the officers, dignitaries who have joined virtually. I also welcome all the members from across India, chartered accountants who have joined across India for this virtual program on accounting concepts and financial and tax compliances. I also welcome all the regional council members, the branch leaders, and the citizens of the country. Just to give you a little background about, I'll take a minute. As you all know, chartered accountants play a key role in nation building. And in the words of our past President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, that chartered accountants are partners in nation building. So with that background and initiative, from the Institute, we initiated through our Honorable President and Vice President that we should have a program for citizens of India to ensure that they understand the need of accounting, get clarified the accounting concepts, what is financial statements, what are the balance sheet statements of affairs, what are financial statements, and what are the accounting standards. So with this background, I would now request CA Pramod Jain, who is the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board, to welcome all the dignitaries for this today's virtual program.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. At the outset, गणतंत्र दिवस की सबको बहुत बहुत हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं और बसंत पंचमी की भी सबको बहुत बहुत हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं. Honorable President of ICI, the first person of the Chartered Accountants, CA Dr. Debashish Mitra, who is from Guwahati. Our Vice President, CA Aniket Sunil Talati ji, who is from Ahmedabad. CA Vishal Doshi ji, who is from Vadodara. CA Dayanivas Sharma ji, who is from Hyderabad. And of course, our Sutradhar today, CA Abhay Chajed ji, who is from Bhopal. Why I'm telling you all these cities? Because and I am from Delhi, of course. We all are from different parts of the country. And we have seen, because we all are in practice, we have seen that the businesses, when they grow, they want to grow. But sometimes they need the guidance how to grow. And sometimes होता क्या है कि जब उनको जरूरत होती है कि वो ग्रो करे तो उनको समझ नहीं आता कि वो कहाँ कमी कर गए. So at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, we thought, let us take, because the country's vision is to achieve the 5 trillion economy, and it cannot be done without the efforts of all the businessmen, all the service providers, all the professionals. And this process today, to see that how we can together grow, how we can help each other to achieve that 5 trillion economy, we are having this program. I welcome our President, Vice President, all the panelists, our Secretariat, and all the citizens of India and all chartered accountant friends who have joined. I will take the session in the coming time. I welcome and thanks Abhiji for giving me few minutes to just introduce the subject. Thank you. Thank you. Now you have to unmute, Ambe sir.
Thank you so much, Pramod bhai, and it's my honor and privilege to invite our Honorable Vice President, sir, CA Aniket Talati ji, who hails from Ahmedabad, and one of the youngest president we'll be having on 12th of February 2023. So, sir, welcome you for this program, and thanks for sparing your valuable time for this important program. More particularly, I would say, not just for members, for the citizens of the entire country. Please, over to you for your address. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhayji, the most respected president of the institute, under whose leadership, as Pramodji mentioned, we are all working. And this year, India has got the pride of hosting the World Congress under Sir's leadership. And we are able to bring great laurels, not just to the institute, but also to India. Say Dr. Debashish Mitra ji, the chairman of Accounting Standards Board, Pramod Jain ji, the vice chairman, Abhay ji, Vishal Doshi ji, Dayanivas Sharma ji, who's also the convener for the Finance and Tax Literacy Drive. And I think a very good partnership that Accounting Standards Board and the Financial Tax Literacy Drive has today to educate the general public about accounting standards in the financial statements, officers of the institute, all the chartered accountants, and more importantly, business owners, small and business practitioners, MSMEs of the country who have joined this program. Let me begin by wishing all of you a very, very happy Republic Day. और सभी को बसंत पंचमी की भी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं. Two important occasions falling on the same date: the 74th Republic Day, the day when India adopted the Constitution and became a republic, and of course a very auspicious occasion of Basant Panchami. I think on the occasion of Republic Day, when we look at the Constitution, it's very important because as practitioners, as chartered accountants, one always looks at the income tax law, the GST law, the Companies Act. But if you look at all the major judgments, which any tax practitioner or any chartered accountant would have won in the higher courts, it is constitutional law and constitutional rights, which in fact have defended a lot of the cases and have won the assessees in these occasions. And this happens because enshrined in the constitutions are constitutional rights, which we so often discuss about. But today I would like to discuss the other aspect of the Constitution. And because with rights come duties. Just one. With rights come duties. And therefore, it is important when we talk about rights, we also counterbalance it with the duties that we have towards our motherland, towards our nation. And I think today the Institute, as Abhayji rightly put, as described by APJ Abdul Kalam ji, partner in nation building. I think we as chartered accountants are not talking about rights, but are fulfilling our duties towards the nation by ensuring that this program is not just for chartered accountants, our membership or our students, but for businesses at large. And with the wider mission of having a $5 trillion economy, of having a developed India in the year 2023, when we have assumed presidency of G20, when the 74th Republic Day is being celebrated. And on 1st of July, the 75th Foundation Day of ICI will be celebrated. I think we have a fine balance of both the rights and the duties that we are showcasing today in terms of this program on 26th of January, that is the Republic Day of India, when the Constitution was adopted. And only to add one important aspect of the Constitution, which I must compliment the entire council under leadership of our Honorable President, that for the first time, the Chartered Accountancy course, the revised proposed CRET, that is the new curriculum, will have a subject on constitutional law. That is the importance that the Institute is giving to the Constitution of India. I believe this is going to be the first large accounting profession anywhere in the world where Constitution of India is going to be one of the subjects in the self-paced learning modules. And that signifies and showcases the importance the Institute attaches to this very important document, which starts with the saying, "We the people," and gives us all our rights, and also, I would say, obliges us towards the duties of India. With these words, I must compliment and congratulate the Accounting Standards Board, the Group for Finance and Tax Literacy, and of course, Abhay Bhai specifically to take lead in this very important program. I am sure not just members and students, but businesses at large will take benefit of this program and showcase and reinforce the one line that we all very proudly say, that chartered accountants are partners in nation building. Thank you very much, and I wish all the participants all the very best.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, sir. It's always a pleasure listening your words of wisdom, your knowledge and in-depth understanding of the subjects, not just the accounting, but entirely, where we, as an institute, we are heading towards and ensuring that each citizen of India actually understands the real role of chartered accountant. And like rightly said, the 74th Republic Day, which is an important day. Along with that, we have also Basant Panchami, jo aaj hai, wo, I believe 2004, this day was, both these days came together. Uske baad aaj hai, so you can, it's almost 19 years now, we have this occasion. And I think that is the reason we initiated this program, because it's a special day for all of us. And thank you so much for your words. For all the participants across India who are listening to you. Now I would request our guide, our Honorable Presidential CA, Dr. Debashish Mitra, under whose guidance every program has been initiated in the entire year. And this is one of the programs we have initiated. Sir, thank you so much for all your guidance, your blessings, your support to every council member for any event activity which is being carried out under your guidance, leadership this year. So over to you, sir, for your words of wisdom.
Thank you very much, Abhay Chhajar, the Vice Chairman of the Accounting Standards Board, the very young and dynamic Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Aniket Talati, who is looking very fresh. And I think he has just unfurled the flag, right, Aniket, in Ahmedabad. He must have done that, right? And Dayanibas Sharma, Pramod Jain, Vishal Doshi, Mr. Gupta, Salini Jindal, Parminder Kaur, everybody else who are there, Kuldeep Vasisht. A very, very happy Republic Day to all of you. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, I unfurled the Indian flag at the Institute premises in Calcutta. EIRC. I speak from EIRC in Calcutta. And then subsequent to that, the students took me for, here we call it Saraswati Puja, what you say, Basant Panchami. So Vishal Doshi would know because he was for some time in Calcutta. So and then the students took me to, for the Saraswati Puja. And there I prayed before Mother, Goddess Saraswati, for the well-being of the professor. And then when you see, we are talking about the Republic Day, 26th of January, 1950, you see, I am also reminded of the fact that even before that, on the 1st of July, 1949, we came into being. You see, that is a significant achievement for us, significant achievement. And mind you, it's because of an act passed by the Parliament. We are not an association, nor are we a club. You see, the Parliament passed that act, and the Parliament felt it that is so important that the chartered accountants are recognized, and the country should not wait for the country to be, for India to be a republic before the CA Act was passed. And immediately after the CA Act was passed, look at the foresight of our founding fathers. The first council meeting was held on the 15th of August. That's the Independence Day. You see, on the 15th of August, 1949, the first council meeting was held. So, you see, we have such a strong relationship with India, with the formation of the country. And we take great pride in always saying, and all these council members who you see on the screen, all of them, they take great pride in saying that it is always India first for us. Whatever we do, it is always India first for us. That's what it is. And today, when we have this program on financial and tax literacy, the basics of this, I've seen Abhay, Daya, and all Pramodji, Vishal Doshi, everybody work hard at it. Aniket Talati guiding them. You see, I've seen everybody work hard at it. Now, what are we trying to do? These are all basics, right? We are, teaching this, we are using 12 languages also. But we are just fulfilling our role as a partner in nation building. We are just fulfilling our role as a partner in nation building. We do not want to get paid, but we are just spreading the knowledge about finance and tax throughout the country to the layman. And saying that as chartered accountants, we care for your well-being. As chartered accountants, we are there to guide you. You see, plan your finances better. You see, that is the role. And we take that role we play that role with a lot of pride. Because, see, we feel that, only, concentrating only on our profession and not thinking beyond it is not going to help. And today, let me tell you, post-World Congress, and you see, we have now treated as a global leader in accountancy profession. To all those who are listening to me, we have about 44 overseas chapters, 33 representative offices. We are present in 77 cities and 45 countries of the world. We have, over a period of time, grown and grown. And let me tell you, but our commitment to our motherland, India, remains as strong as ever. And whenever we do these kind of programs, we feel extremely satisfied. You see, we feel that the Lord, and today the goddess Saraswati, Lord blesses us when you see, we do these kind of programs, because we touch the hearts and minds of the citizens of this country. That is what we are. So many of you have spoken about APJ Abdul Kalam, that is a partner in nation building quote. But APJ Abdul Kalam is known also for another quote. He was talking about the eagle, APJ Abdul Kalam, and which I also say very frequently. He says that eagle is the only bird which flies beyond the cloud when it rains, and all the other birds, it's APJ Abdul Kalam, by the way, who said this, and when all the other birds seek shelter elsewhere. So, and our emblem eagle, teaches us to be fearless, innovative, caring, facing challenges. And we are all of that. And I'm so very happy that they're on this special day, when you celebrate the well-being of the nation, when you celebrate the legacy of the nation, when we celebrate the sacrifices of our founding fathers and those who sacrificed their life that India comes into being, that we are also thinking about the well-being of the citizens of this country. And my hearty congratulations to all of you for having organized this program. And needless to mention, as we go forward, we will do everything possible to see that our great motherland called India really flourishes and the flag of the country is flying very, very high. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always pleasure listening to your words of wisdom for anyone among the council, or I would say from the regional council or from the branches, or across citizens of India who have joined this program, who are seeing all of us live, listening to you. So thank you so much for your time. And I think under your guidance, your initiative, this special day of our country, we decided to have this program, not just for our members, for our society, citizens, and every member of the country to know the concept of accounting, to understand what financial statements is, to understand what financial and tax literacies are, what are the compliances to be ensured, how to a small businessman, a non-corporate entity like a sole proprietor, partnership, or small entities, how they can update themselves with the financial statements, how they have to follow, where they have to follow the accounting standard, what is the role of as a chartered accountant to guide them. So thank you very much, sir, for your time. And sir, just to give you an idea about the entire program, we have got questions from all across the country. We have compiled those questions, which we have received through our accounting standard board. We'll be taking up certain questions, and online also there are members, participants who raise those questions, which we'll be addressing, taking up through the panelists, Pramod ji, who's the chairman, and we have Daya Nivas ji and Vishal ji. And we'll ensure that every question related to accounting concepts, tax, financial is answered today. Still, if there are any such points, issues which remain unattended, from the institute will try to ensure that another program is being organized, or it is being responded to any way where we can do to our members or to our branches or through the regional council. So thank you so much for your time, sir. And as per your schedule, sir, you may continue on leave, and Honorable Vice President also, sir, as per your convenience, we will commence this program. So we'll have set of questions which we'll be taking up, and we'll try कि हम उसको हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में रखेंगे. I would request my panelists, and before that, I would
President sir, Vice President, just a small point. I was just seeing the list of participants, and not only each part of every part of India, the participants are there. Kolkata, Bengaluru, Ahmedabad, Rohtak. Sonipat, Ambala, Ludhiana, Vadodara, Ahmedabad, Salem, Pune. But we have got participants even from the United States, Muscat, Dubai, Oman, so many, Washington DC, so many of the citizens they have joined today, and really thank each and everyone for joining and participating in this program. So just for the information of
very nice. Hearty congratulations to all of you. And Pramodji, one thing I see amongst all of you, two people, Abhay Chhajer and Vishal Doshi, who are the first-time council members, and they're doing so much. They are doing so much for the well-being of this program.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And Pramodji, like you said, these cities, different parts of the country and even outside, it actually, gives a goosebumps to all of us that, how we have tried our best to reach out to every citizen so that we can share our knowledge and, play a real role as a chartered accountant and make them understand what are the accounting concepts. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And just want to put on record, special thanks to Shalini Jindal, Parminder Kaur Madam, S.N. Gupta ji, Kuldeep, who have contributed for last few days. And they have done an excellent job in terms of ensuring that we reach out to every person of the country so that the real objective of this program is achieved. Thank you so much, sir. So to begin with, we'll have questions. I'll take it up, questions one by one with the panelists. So I think we've heard Pramodji, we have heard our Honorable President, Vice President, but we still have to hear our convener of FTL, Dayanivas Sharma ji and Vishal Doshi ji. So I think I'll start with Daya ji. The first questions which we have received for this today program. So accounting से related जब दया जी बात हो रही है और accounting concept के बारे में जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, so I would request कि you can keep a combination of English and Hindi as per your convenience. But definitely we would like, because we have members across the countries who have joined, as per your convenience, you can speak in whatever comfortable language you can. So to begin with, first question to you, Dayanivas ji, that is accounting required for any business entity?
Thank you, Abhay. Thank you very much. And Mumbai, it's indeed a very good time. Just let me, because I could not, the opening remarks were from the President and Vice President. Before I take the question, I think I would like to wish everyone Happy Republic Day as well as a Happy Basant Panchami. Basant Panchami as such, जिसको बोलते हैं कि सरस्वती की वंदना करते हैं. So, Pramod bhai, thanks to you that we ensured that on this particular day, we actually disseminate knowledge on accountancy and tax literacy to the nation. And in a very large manner, as you rightly shared the numbers and statistics from which city they are coming in. So, this part undoubtedly आज ज्ञान का भंडार है. हम लोग सब discussion करेंगे, particularly accounting पे. So your question, Abhay, was on accounting required for any business activity. Rather, I'll put it this way, friends. Every part of our life, every section of the citizen of this country, हर इंसान accounting के बगैर रह नहीं सकता. सबसे पहले चीज. That is the most important part. And when you talk about a business activity के लिए इसलिए ज्यादा जरूरी है क्योंकि ये दो पहलू देता है. पहला पहलू is about the past activity, what we have done. अगर मेरी accounting सही करी हुई है, right, तो मेरे पूरे past activity record करना चालू करता हूं और उसके वजह से we actually determine what should be our future. So accounting की जरूरत business activity के लिए इसलिए जरूरी है, इससे discipline आएगा, इससे future planning अच्छी होगी. So सबसे important ये बात है, हम लोग हमारे मैथमेटिक्स एक छोटी सी चिट्ठी पे करते हैं, हम एक हिसाब दिमाग में रखते हैं. बट इफ वी आर डूइंग इट an effective way of accounting for a business entity, the advantage is that this recording of transaction will give me measurement of my past and give me planning for my future. तो इसीलिए accounting और business activity बहुत बहुत जरूरी है. इसके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा I think lot of questions are there where we are going to address one after another point by point. What is the importance of doing it? आज की तारीख में बैंकिंग सिस्टम में सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी हो गया फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट। आपका परफॉर्मेंस मेजरमेंट, आप कितने ही अच्छे इंसान हो, बट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज आपका फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट जो है, क्या वो ये नंबर्स दर्शाता है, क्या आपके बैंकिंग ट्रांजैक्शंस आप जो बात कर रहे हैं वो बताता है, वो सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। इसीलिए बिजनेस एक्टिविटी के लिए तो particularly I think time has come that we have to be more transparent and most importantly more governed in the process of good compliance also. ये तीन चीज बहुत जरूरी है। Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dayabai, and rightly said, accounting is not just in the business, it is in every area, every field where the accounting is required, whether it's a business, whether it's home, or anybody who's actually dealing with, with finance, with business, or at home, when you are dealing with day-to-day, your spendings, every place accounting is required. And more particularly, what we talk about the business activity, you rightly mentioned that there, the accounting, why accounting is so important. So, Pramod bhai, with this setting up the tone and this first question, I would continue. If the members, participants would like to know the basic systems of accounting, what are the basic systems of accounting which needs to be followed? So, Pramod ji, if you could highlight on the basic systems of accounting.
Thank you very much, Abhay bhai. In fact, Daya sir very rightly pointed out that कि जो भी बिजनेस प्रोफेशन सर्विसेज दे रहा है, चाहे वो छोटा कर रहा है चाहे वो बड़ा कर रहा है, अगर उसकी वो प्रॉपर अकाउंटिंग नहीं करेगा तो उसको पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि उसने क्या खोया, क्या पाया, क्या उसके पास है, क्या नहीं है। तो बहुत सारे सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है। जैसे कई तो ये कहते हैं कि सिंगल एंट्री, जो मेरे पास आ गया बस वही है। देन एक सिस्टम होता है डबल एंट्री अकाउंटिंग, की जब मेरे पास कुछ आता है या कुछ जाता है तो उसकी दोनों साइड अकाउंटिंग होती है, क्या आया और क्या गया। मैंने कुछ खर्चा किया तो खर्चा गया, खर्चा मैंने किया तो वो एक एक्सपेंस हो गया, मैंने कुछ जो खर्चा किया तो मेरा कैश कम हो गया, बैंक कम हो गया। तो एक तो ये सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है सिंगल एंट्री डबल एंट्री। फिर दूसरी सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग बेस्ड अपॉन सिंगल एंट्री डबल एंट्री, आई वुड से डबल एंट्री इट इज अक्रूवल सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग, कि क्या अक्रूवल सिस्टम अकाउंटिंग है। फिर एक है कैश सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग, कि जो मेरे पास है बस वही मेरा है, बाकी मुझे नहीं पता। फिर एक सिस्टम आता है मिक्स्ड, कि मैंने कुछ चीज को कैश में कर लिया, कुछ को अक्रूवल में कर लिया, ये हाइब्रिड सिस्टम। तो बहुत सारे डिफरेंट सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है। जो प्रॉपर अकाउंटिंग करता है वो अपने सिस्टम से अकाउंटिंग करता है, बट स्टिल अभी हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे विद द गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी सर्टेन प्लेसेस कि बहुत सारी म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस हैं या लोकल बॉडीज हैं, वहां पर सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग अभी भी प्रॉपर रेगुलराइज होने हैं। तो बहुत सारे सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है, जैसे हमने कहा सिंगल एंट्री डबल एंट्री, देन उसके बाद डबल एंट्री में आपका कैश सिस्टम, अक्रूवल सिस्टम, हाइब्रिड सिस्टम। सो डिफरेंट सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है, किसको कहां करना है वो अभी हम देखते हैं। थैंक यू भाई।
Thank you very much, Pramod bhai. And like you rightly mentioned, the single entry, double accounting, double entry systems, there are different methods of accounting which have been followed. And like you said, there are cash system of accounting, accrual system of accounting. So I think what is important here is now, since we know every business activity, even from the institute, we suggest that an accrual system of accounting should be followed. So I would certainly request Vishal Doshi ji, if you could highlight on what is accrual system of accounting for our participants who have better understanding between the accrual and the cash system, more particularly the accrual system of accounting.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. और सबसे पहले तो to all the viewers, all the participants को 74वें गणतंत्र दिवस और वसंत पंचमी की शुभकामनाएं। अक्रूवल सिस्टम अभय भाई आपने बताया, एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सेप्टेड एंड मोस्ट फॉलोड सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग। अगर जैसे प्रमोद भाई ने कहा कि दो है, एक अक्रूवल सिस्टम है, एक कैश सिस्टम है। अक्रूवल सिस्टम जो प्राइवेट कंपनीज है या कंपनीज अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट है।
विशाल भाई एक मिक्स सिस्टम भी चला करता था।
आई एम अवेयर, बट फॉर द पार्टिसिपेंट्स आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग इट सिंप्लीफिकेशन कि अक्रूवल और कैश पहले समझ लेंगे तो मिक्स तो ऑटोमेटिक आ जाएगा उसमें। सो कंपनीज जो है, प्राइवेट कंपनीज है, लिमिटेड कंपनीज है, कंपनी सेटअप अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट 2013, उनके लिए तो अंडर द लॉ, अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट अक्रूवल मैंडेटरी प्रिस्क्राइब किया हुआ ही है। अभी अक्रूवल क्या है? सो अक्रूवल इज ऑन प्रिंसिपल्स के रेवेन्यू आप रिकॉग्नाइज करते हो व्हेन इट इज अर्न, एंड एक्सपेंसेस आप रिकॉग्नाइज करते हो व्हेन इट इज इनकर्ड। सो अर्न मतलब एक सिंपल एग्जांपल लो कि किसी ने सेल्स ट्रांजैक्शन किया है जिसका पैसा उसको 30 दिन बाद आना है, तो अक्रूवल सिस्टम जब हम बोलते हैं तो जब इनवॉइस जनरेट होता है और गुड्स फैक्ट्री से या अपने शॉप से बाहर जाता है तब सेल्स रिकॉग्नाइज हो जाता है। दिस इज अक्रूवल सिस्टम व्हेन द रेवेन्यू इज अर्न। व्हेन कंपेयर्ड विद द कैश अकाउंटिंग, जब समझिए 30 दिन बाद जब पैसे आते हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट सेल्स, दैट इज व्हेन अंडर कैश सिस्टम द सेल्स वुड गेट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड। सो समझिए फर्स्ट हम लोग आज 26 जनवरी को है, तो 26 जनवरी को सेल्स हुआ है, तो अंडर अक्रूवल सिस्टम 26 जनवरी को मेरा 100 रुपए का सेल्स रिकॉग्नाइज हो जाएगा, और 26 फरवरी को पैसा आ रहा है, अंडर कैश सिस्टम 26 फरवरी को सेल्स रिकॉग्नाइज होगा। दिस इज द प्रिंसिपल डिफरेंस बिटवीन अक्रूवल एंड कैश। आई टेक जस्ट अ कपल ऑफ मिनट्स कि भाई इसका इम्पैक्ट कहाँ पे कैसे आ सकता है। अगर एग्जाम्पल ले कि आज समझिए मैंने परचेस किया है जिसका पैसा मैंने दे दिया है, मैंने 90 रुपए का परचेस किया है, मैंने पैसा दे दिया है मेरे सप्लायर को, और जो हमने एग्जाम्पल लिया सेल्स मेरा रिकॉग्नाइज होता है अगर मैं कैश बेसिस फॉलो करता हूं तो 1 महीने बाद। तो अक्रूवल सिस्टम में मैं जब मेरी प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस बनाऊंगा तो मेरा एक साइड 90 रुपए का परचेज आएगा, एक साइड में 100 रुपए का सेल्स आएगा, 10 रुपए का प्रॉफिट आएगा। और एज ऑन 31 ऑफ जनवरी कट ऑफ अगर लेते हैं तो 31 जनवरी मंथली अगर लेते हैं तो मेरा 10 रुपए का प्रॉफिट आएगा अक्रूवल में। और जब मैं कैश फॉलो करता हूं तो मेरा 90 रुपए का परचेज आएगा क्योंकि कैश आउट हो गया है मेरा, आई एम रिकॉग्नाइजिंग ऑन कैश बेसिस, बट सेल्स मेरा रिकॉग्नाइज होगा फरवरी में। तो एज ऑन 31 ऑफ जनवरी मेरे P&L में 90 रुपए का लॉस दिखेगा। आई एम ऑन वन ट्रांजैक्शन, ऐसा तो बहुत सारे ट्रांजैक्शन हो गए इन अ बिजनेस एंटिटी, बट आई एम जस्ट फॉर सिंप्लीफिकेशन एक्सप्लेनिंग दिस। और इसी के साथ तो जब हम लोग अक्रूवल सिस्टम अकाउंटिंग की बात करते हैं तो मेरे डेटर्स जो ट्रेड रिसीवर्स भी हम लोग बोलते हैं वो रिकॉग्नाइज होते हैं, मेरे क्रेडिटर्स जो ट्रेड पेएबल्स भी हम लोग बोलते हैं वो रिकॉग्नाइज होती है, इन्वेंट्री भी रिकॉग्नाइज होती है। सो दिस इज अ फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस बिटवीन अक्रूवल एंड कैश, एंड अक्रूवल इज द मोस्ट एक्सेप्टेबल बिकॉज वो मैचिंग कॉन्सेप्ट फॉलो करता है कि मेरा जो सेल्स है उसके सामने मेरे जो कॉस्ट है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू परचेज, सैलरीज, अदर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस वो सामने सामने रिलेट हो जाए तो जो मैं प्रॉफिट दिखा रहा हूं वो मैं सही दिखा रहा हूं। सो दिस इज व्हाट इज अक्रूवल सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग। थैंक यू अभय भाई, बैक टू यू।
Thank you very much, Vishal bhai, and I think rightly mentioned accrual, where the matching concept is more important. कि मेरी sales और मेरी purchase and finally the position of profit, which actually comes in when I book the revenue and I also book the expense for purchases. So that I think is widely acceptable in the country. Of course, mixed system also has been followed. But Pramod bhai, going forward with this accrual system of accounting, participants would like to know that any specific law which require cash system of accounting, which require accrual system of accounting, or require a mixed system of accounting. If you could highlight on this issue.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. In fact, Vishal bhai has very, very rightly pointed out accrual system of accounting, which is a very, very scientific method. और अगर हम बात करें कि क्या मेरे को कौन सा सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग फॉलो करना है, क्या कोई लॉ प्रिस्क्राइब करता है? एक्चुअली अगर देखा जाए तो बिजनेस अगर हम करते हैं, प्रोफेशन हम करते हैं, तो वो किसी ना किसी एंटिटी में करते हैं। जैसे कंपनी हो गई, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, पब्लिक लिमिटेड, लिस्टेड जो भी हो गई, या फिर एक नया कंसेप्ट है लिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी पार्टनरशिप, वो हो गई, या फिर मेरी प्रोप्राइटरशिप, पार्टनरशिप, सोसाइटी, ट्रस्ट, बहुत सारी एंटिटीज, डिफरेंट। तो जिस रेगुलेशन के अंदर वो एंटिटी बनी है, वो एंटिटी प्रिस्क्राइब करती है कि आप कौन सा सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग फॉलो करेंगे। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं कंपनीज की बात करूं तो कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 और इससे पहले जो था कंपनीज एक्ट 1956, दोनों ही कहती थी दैट कंपनी हैज टू फॉलो ओनली अक्रूअल सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग। सो जितनी भी हम कई बार कॉमन पार्लेंस में प्रोप्राइटरशिप, ये जो एक इंडिविजुअल है जो अपना खुद का काम कर रहा है उसको भी कंपनी बोल देते हैं, बट कंपनी इज अ कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 और 1956 एक्ट। उन कंपनीज के लिए मैंडेटरी है अक्रूअल सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग, जो अभी विशाल सर ने सबको समझाया। उसके अलावा अगर मैं लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी पार्टनरशिप एक्ट की बात करूं तो वहां पर भी प्रिस्क्राइब्ड है, बट वहां पर ऑप्शन दे रखी है। वहां ऑप्शन दे रखी है या आप अक्रूअल चूज करेंगे या कैश, दोनों चॉइस, कैश सिस्टम भी, अक्रूअल सिस्टम। अब इसके अलावा प्रोप्राइटरशिप पार्टनरशिप, अगर मैं पार्टनरशिप की बात करूं तो पार्टनरशिप एक्ट कोई मेथड ऑफ अकाउंटिंग प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं करता। तो नॉर्मली ये जो बाकी सब है, सोसाइटीज, ट्रस्ट, प्रोप्राइटरशिप, पार्टनरशिप्स, वो अपना गाइड करते हैं फ्रॉम द बेसिकली आई वुड से इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, या फिर उनको फाइनेंस, ये तो जो बैंकर्स बोलते हैं। अब इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के अंदर बहुत पहले अलाउड था तीनों सिस्टम, कैश सिस्टम, अक्रूअल सिस्टम एंड मिक्स्ड सिस्टम। मिक्स सिस्टम में क्या होता था, कुछ चीजें तो हमने अक्रूअल बेसिस पे की और कुछ कैश पे की, वो मिक्स होता था। तो वो मिक्स सिस्टम बहुत सालों से इनकम टैक्स ने खत्म कर दिया। अब इनकम टैक्स में भी दो ही ऑप्शन है, कैश सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग या अक्रूअल सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग, और वो आपको मेंशन करना पड़ता है जब भी आपकी बैलेंस शीट, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स वगैरह बनते हैं, तो आपने कौन सा सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग फॉलो किया। हमेशा से ही अगर मैं बात करूं साइंटिफिक वे, एक किसी भी चीज को एक लेवल पे लेके आना, अगर मैं बात करूं जो छोटा काम कर रहे हैं, मतलब कि स्मॉल बिजनेसेस हैं, या फिर शेयर्स की है, या फ्यूचर ऑप्शन है, या फिर मैं कहूंगा कि अपना घर के भी अपने पर्सनल अकाउंट्स बनाते हैं, सैलरीड पर्सन्स भी बनाते हैं, जो सॉफ्टवेयर कोई भी टैली, बिजी, इजी कोई भी लेके उसमें करते हैं या अपने अकाउंट मेंटेन करते हैं, तो वो भी ये चाहते हैं कि मेरे को क्या लेना है, क्या देना है, एट अ पॉइंट मुझे पता। अगर एट अ टाइम कितना लेना, कितना देना, सब कुछ पता हो, क्या एसेट्स है मेरी, कहाँ मेरी प्लांट मशीनरी, ज्वेलरी, मूल प्रॉपर्टी है, जो कुछ भी है, और क्या क्या देनदारी है, क्या क्या लेनदारी है, अगर वो पता करना हो तो वो अक्रूअल सिस्टम ही चलता है। तो मोस्ट साइंटिफिक इज अक्रूअल सिस्टम, एंड ऑफ कोर्स सर्टेन प्रोफेशनल्स एंड अदर कैश सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग इज अलाउड, सो अकाउंटिंग टू दैट। थैंक यू अभिषेक।
Thank you very much, Pramod ji, for highlighting, the importance and the specific law which require which accounting method to be followed. And like rightly said, we have different set of entities, companies, LLP, partnership firm, proprietorship firm. So I think you have covered that where the Companies Act is applicable, what method is to be followed, because that law requires you to follow a particular method and also disclose in the financial statements. Then partnership firms and small proprietors or proprietorship firms, even if they are large, they can have an option to do follow both the methods, which even the law permits them to do it. So I think very rightly covered. And just to continue with the discussion on accounting, since thereby you are here and you've been dealing with this on day-to-day basis more practically also. From the participants' perspective, I would just like to understand what is the benefit if one does maintain the books of accounts, why it is important that the accounting should be done, why it is important that when you maintain a books of accounts, it is important that you do all the compliances because the regulator wants you, the government wants you, या GST आ गया है, जैसे काफी businessmen GST में आ गए, तो why accounting is important in current scenario. So if you could just highlight or for the benefit of the participants.
Yes, very interestingly put, भाई from Pramod भाई से आप लेकर जो ये question benefits का मेरे पास शिफ्ट करे हैं, I can only tell you the answer lies in Pramod भाई answer. Whatever he discussed, primarily सबसे important चीज अपने को ये देखना है अपने देश में कि हमारा जो geographical location है, which is widespread, and the population which is there, which is totally different when compared to most of the parts of the world. The benefits can be seen, बहुत अच्छी बात बोले आप, regulation यानी provisions of law के वजह से कोई सुधरते हैं, और कोई कॉन्शियसली अपना प्रोसेस ठीक कर रहा है। बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है। कॉन्शियसली का मतलब मैं बताऊंगा, जो आदमी को रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क में करना है, दे कैन नॉट डिविएट फ्रॉम द रिक्वायरमेंट। बट वेयर एज प्रमोद भाई, यू विल अग्री, द यूपीआई पेमेंट्स आर द बिगेस्ट एग्जाम्पल of creating awareness of the earnings of a poorest man in this country, even if he is a pan shop owner. उसकी पान की दुकान पर पेटीएम है, उसकी पान की दुकान पर गूगल पे है। इसके पहले भी वो कैश काउंट करता था जब पैसा उसके पास आता था। But what was happening is he was closing that cash count, putting in an envelope, using it for tomorrow's business. But the fact which is there is, now that is getting recorded, there is a history of a transaction which is actually giving him a confidence. Okay, this is the kind of sale which happened. इतना मेरा सेल आज के तारीख में हुआ है, मेरा कल इतना हुआ था, परसों इतना हुआ था, त्योहार के दिन इतना हुआ, बंद वाले दिन इतना हुआ, हॉलिडे वाले दिन इतना हुआ। इससे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या चाहिए हमको कि ये मेजरमेंट जो हम लोग जनरली सोचते थे, यूपीआई पेमेंट के थ्रू ये बहुत स्पेसिफिक नॉलेज बनना चालू हो गया लोगों के कलेक्शंस के लिए। वेदर यू टॉक अबाउट अ टैक्सी ड्राइवर हु इज ड्राइविंग अ ओला, और यू टॉक अबाउट अ पर्सन हु इज ड्राइविंग अ उबर, just go back to a time when the autos were running and he was not able to understand what I am making money, where I am spending my money, how much I am spending for my auto charges. Similarly is the case with a kirana store. What sales he used to make, he was not actually having that kind of control, though they were very good businessmen undoubtedly. But the fact is, the past performance which is getting recorded is first benefit of doing right accounting. Very important. Number 2, how you have to plan for future. अरे मेरा अगर इस दुकान में इतने का सेल हो रहा है, ये सामान खरीद रहे हैं, ये सामान बेच रहे हैं, जो भी हो रहा है, जिस दिन तक मैं अकेला इंसान एक किराना स्टोर चलाता था, तब तक it was required that I should sit in the store and run. Whereas because of this transaction which are getting recorded, you can open multiple branches in the closest vicinities also. So what is happening? I need not be there. I have a capability. मेरे पास capability है, क्षमता है कि मैं मेरी business बढ़ा सकता हूँ. But the problem was they were not able to do it because मैं कैसा विश्वास करूँ किसी इंसान पर कि वो cash collection बराबर कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा है. तो benefit of accounting, जब मेरे transaction record होना चालू हो गए UPI से, now we are the world number 1 in UPI payments. There is no comparison. I think we have set an example in the global front. So future अपना प्लान करने के लिए, मेरे नए एक्सपेंशंस प्लान करने के लिए अकाउंटिंग बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि आपको किसी और पे निर्भर होना। थर्ड पार्ट, इंप्रूवमेंट प्लानिंग, मतलब जो हमारे शॉर्टकमिंग्स थे, हम कैसा उसके ऊपर काम कर सकते हैं, उसको ठीक कर सकते हैं, वो एक इंपॉर्टेंट बेनिफिट मिलता है प्रॉपर अकाउंटिंग से। नाउ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट, अभय भाई, विशाल भाई, प्रमोद भाई, we all have seen many people who are rich, right? They have a lot of properties, they have a lot of earnings, but what was happening? That was not recorded anywhere. So what happened is, not only rich and super rich, I am talking about medium MSN, मतलब middle class society के लोग भी, जिनके पास recorded transaction नहीं थे, जिस दिन इनके बच्चों के लिए एजुकेशन लोन लेना था, इनके रिटर्न में इनकम नहीं दिखी। जिस दिन इनके लिए हाउसिंग लोन लेना था, उनके रिटर्न में इनकम नहीं दिखी। जिस दिन ये लोगों को बिजनेस एक्सपैंड करने के लिए लोन देना था, उस दिन उनके फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में इनकम नहीं दिखी। एंड फाइनली, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली, आज के तारीख में जितने सारे बैंकिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल है, 2 लाख रुपए की लोन से लेके 2000 करोड़ तक की लोन में, द बेनिफिट ऑफ अकाउंटिंग इज it is recorded, it has a history, it can be demonstrated, यानी उसकी एक हिस्ट्री है, उसका एक पास्ट है, और उसका वजह से हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप होता है, बैंकिंग सिस्टम का कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप होता है। दोस्तों, एक ही बात बताता हूं, जीएसटी आज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया। इनकम टैक्स काफी टाइम से बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था, बट अब के बाद आप चाहें या ना चाहें, एवरी ट्रांजैक्शन, अगर मैं ये पेन भी खरीदा हूं, इस पेन की भी जीएसटी लगी है. And if we are able to understand this, these transactions are getting recorded at a global level, national level, and the financial planning जो आप लोग कर सकेंगे आज के बाद, वो unmatchable है. The kind of support we are getting from the government on digitization, the kind of support we are getting from the government with regards to banking transaction, the kind of benefit we are getting to the government on financial availability. जब आज देश अपना प्रोग्रेस होने के लिए रेडी है, वो टाइम पे सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि आपके फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शंस आप रिकॉर्ड करो, बैंक में ले जाकर दिखाओ, भैया ये मेरे ट्रांजैक्शन पिछले 5 साल के हैं, 4 साल के, 3 साल के हैं, और अब मेरे को एक्सपैंड करने के लिए लोन दो. आप देखना वो चमत्कार ज्यादा टाइम नहीं, अप्रूवल लेटर के साथ आपको मिलेगा. सो द बेनिफिट्स आर ह्यूमंगस. These are couple of them which I thought I'll share with you. So this is what my, answer would be.
Thank you very much, Daya bhai. Of course, you have, I think, rightly shared the benefits, and it is not just those large organizations or medium organizations, entities, but even for small business entities where they become more organized, they are actually maintaining their books of accounts, doing proper accounting, filing of income tax return could be done properly. Once returns filed, books of accounts, accounting properly done, you have your financial statements where you can approach various regulators, banks, and grow your business. And I think this is what the real objective of having this program, that how important the accounting is, that it has to be done whatever the size of the business, but the accounting should be done to get organized and to improve each day and to reach out to the world for maximum benefit if you are organized. So I think, Pramod bhai, continuing this discussion, we have large organizations, entities, we have companies who are maintaining their books of accounts, doing disclosures, following the compliances. But hamare, being a country, there are a lot of small entities. They are maintaining, of course, books of accounts, rakhte hain. But still, I would certainly like, with your experience, ki kya benefit hai small entities ko if they are organized, they maintain their books of accounts, accounting proper rakhe, to kya unko advantage hai ya unko rakhna kitna zaruri hai? I would certainly like, your experience if you could share.
Thank you, Abhay sir. In fact, very, very rightly pointed out by Daya sir, explained very well the benefit of accounting. Friends, sometimes what happens that when a person or an entity is not in an organized sector, organized means not in a corporate form or structure. So they do start a business, and when they start a business, so they feel that they are earning profit because they've got money in their hands. So when they've got money churning out, they say, okay, everything is fine. But unless they do proper accounting, they won't be able to come to a conclusion whether they're actually earning profit or in the coming time there will be a loss. What are the expenses? What should be incurred? What not there? So accounting that way, even for smaller business, is very, very important. Now, before I take, okay, is there any exemption given for the small businesses? One or two questions, because we are being pouring with the questions, one or two questions which is relating to this only, which we have discussed till now. Like one of the question is why it is not possible to adopt only one system of accounting, that is accrual system. Like for companies, it is mandatory accrual system because they are organized, because they have incorporated companies, so they feel it is an organized thing. So there it is mandatory accrual. But of course, to the smaller businesses, they have given an option either cash or accrual, because in certain cases, like there is another example, another question, which is that in the case of purchase, where there is 30 to 45 days payment terms, then how it is treated in both system of accounting. So suppose it is an accrual system of accounting and I have made a purchase. And another question related to this is that in accrual system, if the money is not realized for any sale, would tax still be payable for the transaction? So combining this purchase sale both. If I am on an accrual system of accounting, then I'll book my purchase. The payment could be made 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, or after that year. Or in the case of sale also, when I make a sale, I book my income, but the payments are received in the later years. But in the cash system of accounting, though I have made a purchase, but the moment I make a payment, only then I can book a purchase. I book my expenses. On the accrual basis, I incur that today I have taken some services from, say, a legal person or say a service provider, an AMC, but I've not paid to him. In the cash system, I cannot account until I pay, but in accrual system, I'll book that. For companies, such system is not allowed. For proprietorship, partnership, or small businesses, it is allowed. Cash system. For example, this question which is asked that in case I am say professional, I raise an invoice and I'm following an accrual system of accounting. If that money is not received, वो पैसा नहीं आया, तब भी मेरे को उसके ऊपर इनकम टैक्स देना है, राइट? लेकिन अगर वो मेरा कैश सिस्टम है तो मैं उस पे इनकम टैक्स तभी दूंगा जब वो मेरे पास अमाउंट आ जाएगी, राइट? Now, any relaxation given, if I talk about, again, accounting is required under which law? As discussed earlier, Companies Act provides that mandatory accounting is there. Limited Liability Partnership Act says mandatory accounting is there. All others, they follow just the Income Tax Act or the GST Act. If I take the Income Tax Act, it says that in case there is a particular section which says that in case of a profession, there are certain specified professions, doctors, advocates, company secretaries, chartered accountants, specified professions. In their case, if their gross receipt from their profession is exceeding rupees 1,50,000, then they have to maintain their books of accounts. The Income Tax Act provides that. In case of other than this specified profession for the business, in case of sole proprietorship and partnership, sole proprietorship and HUF, the limit is in case their gross receipt is or sale is 25 lakhs or more, or profit is exceeding 2,50,000. Then they have to maintain the books of accounts. उसके नीचे वो कहते हैं आपको जरूरत नहीं है, आप अपना assumption basis के ऊपर आपका जो receipts आ रहा है, बैंक स्टेटमेंट, कैश फ्लो के हिसाब से अपना टैक्स दीजिए. But other than that, the section provides कि अगर आपकी 10 लाख से ऊपर की टर्नओवर है या प्रॉफिट 1,20,000 से ऊपर है, then you have to maintain books of accounts under the income tax law. So relevant regulations provide कि कहाँ books maintain करनी है, कहाँ नहीं करनी. But as very rightly discussed, if a businessman or any person for that purpose, not only businessman, any person who is doing a small trading or even his own accounts for the purpose of his own understanding what he has, what he doesn't have, don't have, he should maintain his books of accounts, which will always tell him what he has got, what he has to pay, what is his own capital, where to seek money, where to not seek money. That will totally guide him. Yeah? So that way, it is important for his own purpose. Thank you, Officer.
Thank you, Pramodji, for sharing your experience why the accounting is mandatory, not just for the large organizations, but for small business entities. More particularly, the sole proprietorship, the partnership firm, the small partnership firms. At every level, the accounting is mandatory. So, as a chartered accountant, of course, you being the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board, and as a chartered accountant, the Institute of Chartered Accountant is one of the core activity or the area which we do is the setting up of standards. We are one of an institution, a regulator which sets the accounting standards, and I think that is one area which has now been very important for any business entity to follow. Whether it's a company or whether it's a LLP or a partnership or even a large proprietorship, at some point of time, the accounting standards being followed. So I think participants would like to know these accounting standards, a little background, what are accounting standards and why it is mandatory. So I would request Vishal Bhai to, if you could just briefly explain the participants and give them an idea about the accounting standards why it is relevant and important, and as an auditee, as a preparer of financial statement, जितने भी हमारे participants हैं, उनके लिए क्यों जरूरी है accounting standards to follow to ensure compliance for the requirement of regulator.
Yeah. अभी भाई, in response to what you just आपने जो बताया, जो पूछा अभी, मेरा एक सिंपल थॉट प्रोसेस ऐसा है कि हम लोग जब गाड़ी की बात करते हैं, व्हीकल, 4-व्हीलर, कार, तो द क्लच, द ब्रेक, द एक्सेलरेटर, उनकी पोजीशन फिक्स रहती है. सो यू हैव ऑन द लेफ्ट योर क्लच, बीच में ब्रेक और फिर एक्सेलरेटर, और सेम रहती है. दैट इज द स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन. तो आज आप कोई भी गाड़ी में बैठेंगे, कोई भी कंपनी की होगी, कोई भी मॉडल होगा, एटलीस्ट यू विल बी एबल टू ड्राइव, यू विल बी एक्सीडेंट फ्री बिकॉज द क्लच, ब्रेक एंड द एक्सेलरेटर आर पोजिशन्ड इन द सेम वे अक्रॉस. इवन मैनुअल में, ऑटोमेटिक में क्लच नहीं रहता है तो वो एक डमी हो जाता है, बट ब्रेक एंड द एक्सेलरेटर स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन इज देयर. सो सिमिलरली हम कोई भी चीज ले, देयर इज ऑलवेज अ स्टैंडर्ड प्रोसीडियर विच हैज बीन प्रिस्क्राइब्ड. एक सिंपल में बात करूं, पानी पूरी, आज छुट्टी का दिन है, आई थिंक एवरीबॉडी वुड बी लविंग टू हैव इट, कि उससे भी ऐसा नहीं होता है कि पानी पहले डालते हैं और बाद में आलू का मसाला डालते हैं. उससे भी एक प्रोसेस, स्टैंडर्ड प्रोसेस होता है. सो जब हम अकाउंटिंग की बात करते हैं तो उससे भी देयर इज अ स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट नीड्स टू बी ब्रॉट अबाउट. कि आज एक बिजनेसमैन है, वो जो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी दिखाता है, तो उसकी समझिए मार्च 23 ईयर एंड आ रहा है, तो मार्च 23 ईयर एंड में वो जो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट दिखा रहा है, अपना नेट प्रॉफिट दिखा रहा है, अपना सेल्स दिखा रहा है, अपना एक्सपेंसेस दिखा रहा है, अगर वो खुद की जो नंबर्स है, अगर पिछले साल से वो कंपेयर करना चाहे कि मेरा कितना ग्रोथ हुआ है या क्या मूवमेंट हुई है मेरे बिजनेस में, तो ये कंपेरेबिलिटी पॉसिबल होगी ओनली इफ देयर इज अ स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन इन दी अकाउंटिंग दैट एंटिटी और वो बिजनेसमैन ने फॉलो किया हो year on year, then there is a comparability. Similarly, वो बिजनेसमैन को अगर सिमिलर कोई उसका कॉम्पिटिटर है, उसके साथ भी अपने नंबर्स को कंपेयर करना है, that would be possible only if there is a standardization. तो ये स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन अकाउंटिंग में लाने के लिए, जैसा आपने अभय भाई ने बताया कि इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया का अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बोर्ड है, जो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स प्रिस्क्राइब करता है हर एक बिजनेस एंटिटी के लिए. There are many accounting standards, but accounting standards के principles क्या है? तो अगर हम बात करें तो there are 3 major sections for the accounting standards. One is recognition, second is measurement, and third is the presentation and disclosure. तो recognition का मतलब क्या होता है कि आज कोई भी समझिए सेल्स हुआ है, एक्सपेंस हुआ है, मैं फिक्स्ड एसेट में ले जाऊं या उसको खर्चे में डालूं, तो वो जो प्रिंसिपल्स उसके है, जो स्टैंडर्ड नॉर्म्स है, दे आर प्रिस्क्राइब के इसको कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, कहां पे रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, दैट इज द रिकॉग्निशन प्रिंसिपल. सेकंड इज मेजरमेंट. तो अगर रिकॉग्निशन प्रिंसिपल अपना हो गया कि चलिए मेरा ये सेल्स मेरे को रिकॉग्नाइज करना है या मेरे को फिक्स्ड एसेट में रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, तो कितने अमाउंट से मेरे को मेजर करके वो अमाउंट क्या होनी चाहिए जिससे मेरे को उसको रिकॉग्नाइज करना है. सो दैट इज द सेकंड प्रिंसिपल जो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स डील करता है, विच इज द मेजरमेंट. And the third principle is presentation and disclosure. इसको फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में कहां पे दिखाना है और उसके रिलेटेड एडिशनल क्या क्या और डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट है, जिससे जो भी यूजर्स है, जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, बैलेंस शीट, P&L जो पढ़ेंगे, उनको इंफॉर्मेशन सही जाएगी. उसके लिए वी हैव द presentation and the disclosure requirements. So again, for repetition, for easy understanding, 3 sections: the recognition, the measurement, and the presentation and the disclosure. These are the standardized what the accounting standards prescribe. Very important thing is कि आज जैसे प्रमोद भाई ने भी बोला, दया भाई ने बोला, and अभय भाई you also mentioned that all regulators, all banks, all stakeholders, investors, everybody would look up कि आपके फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड से कंप्लाई कर रहे हैं या नहीं. सो इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स हर एक बिजनेसमैन को उसके दे हैव टू फॉलो what has been given for, like I said, comparability within themselves, year on year, आगे पीछे उनको कंपेयर करना है कुछ भी, and with the competitors and also for regulatory compliance, and even like I said, banks, investors, सभी को accounting standard compliant financial statements चाहिए, and that is why it is important for the accounting standards to be followed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal bhai. And I think rightly mentioned, if you follow the accounting standards, then it is your financial statements are fully compliant. So whether the regulators are requirement is concerned, or when you want to do a comparable analysis of one entity with another entity, when you follow a certain set of standards, and rightly mentioned that the recognition, the measurement, the presentation disclosures is part of these accounting standards, which every entity needs to follow. But going forward, I think Vishal bhai has covered, why and what are standards and why it is important. Pramod bhai, I would, for the participants or the interest of the participant, would certainly like, to understand how many of such accounting standards are there. And if you could highlight certain important standards, maybe one or two, a few, that why this is important, and whether I would talk about a company under a Companies Act, or if it's a partnership under the Partnership Act or a sole proprietor, why and which standards would certainly be applicable. So if you could just highlight your experience being, the leader of or the chairman of the Accounting Standard Board, because you are the one dealing with these standards on day-to-day basis, and definitely participants would be love to hear, the number of standards and why it is relevant and of what type of entities.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. You are also part of it. You are the vice chair of the ASB, so you are a part of the team is there. All council members are there. Friends, in fact, why accounting standards are important. Vishal bhai has very, very rightly discussed about it. Just to add, in case persons are not following accounting standards, then what will happen? Suppose there is an expenditure which I have spent upon this thing. Now, whether that is to be taken out as an expense in 1 year itself, एक साल में खर्चा दिखाना है, या उसको मेरे को और आगे सालों में लेके जाना है. मैंने कोई ऐसा एसेट खरीदा, ऐसी कोई मशीनरी थी मेरी, उस मशीनरी के अंदर एक मैंने पार्ट को रिप्लेस किया, तो क्या वो मेरा रिपेयर में जाएगा, प्रॉफिट लॉस में खर्चा बुक करके उसका एक्सपेंडिचर क्लेम करूं, या मैं उसको कैपिटलाइज करके उस पर डेप्रिसिएशन क्लेम करूं? तो अगर हर कोई अपने हिसाब से चलेगा तो सिस्टमाइज्ड वे नहीं होगा, बैलेंस शीट्स आपस में कंपेयर नहीं हो सकती, ग्रोथ की अपॉर्चुनिटीज कम हो जाएंगी. तो उसके लिए स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. जैसे इसके लिए स्टैंडर्ड्स है आपका प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट, कि आप कब उसको कैपिटलाइज करेंगे और कब उसको आप रेवेन्यू में ले जाएंगे. कब अगर वो इंटेंजिबल है, आपका ट्रेडमार्क ब्रांड आपने परचेज किया, तो कब आप उसको कैपिटलाइज करेंगे और कब उसको आप अमोर्टाइज डेप्रिशिएट करेंगे. तो उसके स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. जो बिजनेसमैन है उनको इतना पता होना चाहिए बेसिकली कि डिफरेंस है कि मैंने अगर कुछ अमाउंट स्पेंड किया, आई स्पेंड सर्टेन अमाउंट, so decision is to be taken whether to claim it as a whole expense or it would be the benefit could be taken off the expense on a depreciation basis on the years to come, कि मैं उसको more than a year use कर रहा हूं. तो उसके लिए वो स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. एंड जो ये स्टैंडर्ड्स की हम बात कर रहे हैं ना, हम we are saying that we have to go to 5 trillion economy or 10 trillion economy, the world's leading economy in the times to come, 2047 and all those. So for that, the requirement is there for all businesses, small, medium, large, everyone has to play a role. बिना सब आप लोगों के ये पॉसिबल नहीं है, और उसके लिए ये स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉलो करने बहुत बहुत जरूरी है. बिकॉज इन्हीं स्टैंडर्ड के बेसिस के ऊपर अपने फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनने हैं, और उसी के बेसिस के ऊपर नेशनली इंटरनेशनली सारा काम है. अब कितने तरह के स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, इसमें आपको बहुत ज्यादा डीप में सिर्फ इतना बताता हूँ. कंपनीज के लिए जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स है वो नोटिफाई करती है स्टैंडर्ड्स. जो 2 तरह के स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. 2 तरह के स्टैंडर्ड्स, एक हो गया जो लिस्टेड कंपनी जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में लिस्ट होती है, या फिर जिसकी नेटवर्थ जो है 250 करोड़ से ऊपर है, 250 करोड़ एंड अबव, या उनके होल्डिंग सब्सिडरी एसोसिएट्स, उनके लिए है इंड एएस, द इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड रूल्स 2015। इंड एएस है, अराउंड 37 स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, जो कि इंटरनेशनली आईएफआरएस से मिलते हैं। तो आप ध्यान रखें कि वो आईएफआरएस, इंड एएस वो लिस्टेड और 250 करोड़ से ऊपर की नेटवर्थ वाली कंपनीज, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनीज के लिए। उसके अलावा जो कंपनीज हैं उनके लिए द कंपनीज अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड रूल्स 2021, तो वो भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने नोटिफाई किए हैं, और वो स्टैंडर्ड्स वही हैं, करीब करीब वही हैं जो कि प्रोप्राइटरशिप, पार्टनरशिप, एलएलपी, बाकी सबको अप्लाई करते हैं। लेकिन वो स्टैंडर्ड्स जो हैं वो इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया ने नोटिफाई किए। और अब वो जो स्टैंडर्ड्स प्रोप्राइटरशिप पार्ट, क्योंकि एलएलपी के अंदर भी नोटिफाइड स्टैंडर्ड्स होने वाले हैं। अब प्रोप्राइटरशिप, पार्टनरशिप की हम बात करें, एचयूएफ्स की बात करें, तो इनके लिए अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स कैसे मैंडेटरी है? वो हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट ने मैंडेट किया हुआ है कि अगर इनमें से किसी के भी अकाउंट्स का ऑडिट होना है तो वो ऑडिटर को इंश्योर करना है, ऑडिटर को इंश्योर करना है कि वो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड कंप्लायंट हो, क्योंकि उसी से कंपेरेबिलिटी आएगी, उसी से ही ग्रोथ आएगी। अगर उसके अंदर डाइवर्जेंस होंगे तो उसके ग्रोथ की जो उम्मीद है वो कम हो जाती है। तो ये डिफरेंट तरह के अकाउंट्स के आपको पता होना चाहिए बेसिकली बिजनेसमैन को कि ये अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड से जब फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, अब अकाउंट्स बनते हैं, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनती हैं, वो बहुत बहुत जरूरी है, मैंडेटरी है और वर्ल्ड ओवर कंप्लाई होती है। अगर आपको ग्रो करना है तो ये अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स की कंप्लायंस आपको इंश्योर करनी चाहिए। रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो है वो बिजनेसमैन की है, मैनेजमेंट की है, क्योंकि अकाउंट्स तो वही बनाते हैं। हाँ, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हेल्प करते हैं, बट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो है वो मैनेजमेंट की ही है, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाने की, किताबें मेंटेन करने की। थैंक यू बाबा।
Thank you very much, Pramod bhai, and I think rightly mentioned that these are mandated by ICI accounting standards, which is to be followed. And why it is important, more particularly because it is the responsibility of the management, but definitely we as an auditor, we ensure that these are being followed, complied, and accounting is done based on these accounting standards. So continuing with the discussion, Pramod ji, what you mentioned, I think I would like Vishal bhai, if you could, he's given a number, Ind AS, 2015 rules, which make it applicable, the Indian accounting standard, 2021, the accounting standards, which has been made applicable to companies and other entities. But if I talk about specific, जैसे हमने जब शुरू में डिस्कशन में बात किया था अकाउंटिंग, और हमने बात किया था, एग्जांपल्स दिए थे कि मेरे को सेल्स बुक करनी है। अब if I have to recognize revenue in my books, or I have to show what is my stock, what is my inventory. तो अगर मैं बात करूं कंपनीज पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि अगर अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का मुझे कंप्लायंस करना है और मुझे फॉलो करना है, तो अगर मुझे रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, तो इज देयर एनी स्टैंडर्ड, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड व्हिच वांट्स मी टू रिकॉग्नाइज द रेवेन्यू इन माय बुक्स, या कोई अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड है जो इन्वेंट्री कैसे मुझे बुक्स में रिकॉग्नाइज करनी है, कैसे मेंटेन करनी है, so that when I submit the financial statements to the regulators, to the banks, other stakeholders, they understand, yes, this has been followed properly, the accounting standards have been complied, revenue has been recognized as per the accounting standard, inventory has been accounted for. So if you could highlight कि इसमें कौन से specific standards हैं which the entity should follow to ensure these compliances.
थैंक यू अभय भाई। तो आपने जैसे बोला कि रेवेन्यू एंड इन्वेंट्री, तो इन दोनों के लिए अलग अलग स्टैंडर्ड्स नोटिफाई किए हैं। पहले रेवेन्यू की बात करूं तो रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन जो है वो AS 9, सो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 9 में रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन के एस्पेक्ट्स कवर होते हैं। अगेन लाइक आई सेड, रिकॉग्निशन, मेजरमेंट, डिस्क्लोजर्स। तो रेवेन्यू में क्या क्या कवर होता है, जस्ट टू गिव अ हाईलाइट, तो सेल ऑफ गुड्स आता है, रेंडरिंग ऑफ सर्विसेज आते हैं, उसमें AS 9 में कवर होता है। एंड तीसरा है ऑल्सो विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू इंटरेस्ट, रॉयल्टी एंड डिविडेंड्स के, उसमें जो इनकम कैसे और कब रिकॉग्नाइज की जानी चाहिए, वो सारे प्रावधान इसमें AS 9 में कवर्ड है। तो बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स की बात करूं तो जो गुड्स है, सेल ऑफ गुड्स रिलेटेड जो रेवेन्यू रिकग्निशन की बात है, तो एक प्रिंसिपल ऐसा है कि जब रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड, वो जो गुड्स है उसमें जो रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड सामने बायर को जब ट्रांसफर होता है, सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड जब ट्रांसफर होता है, तभी एक बिजनेसमैन, एक एंटिटी उसको सेल्स रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकती है। अभी उसमें एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं समझने के लिए। समझिए कि भाई गुड्स सेल किया है कोई बिजनेस में, कोई एंटिटी ने, जिसमें कंडीशन ऐसी है कि सामने बायर उसको अप्रूव करे, उसके बाद ही वो उसके सेल्स को वो एक्सेप्ट करेंगे। सो इट इज ऑन अप्रूवल बेसिस। तो इसमें हमारा स्टैंडर्ड क्या बोलता है कि बिकॉज सेल्स, ठीक है, गुड्स जो है, जो सामान है वो हमारे फैक्ट्री से या वर्कशॉप से या वहां निकल गया है, सामने पहुंच भी गया है बायर के साइड पे, बट बायर ने अप्रूवल नहीं दिया है। तो बिकॉज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कंडीशन ऐसा है कि जब तक बायर अप्रूवल नहीं दे तब तक ये सेल नहीं माना जाएगा। सो अकाउंटिंग में भी जब तक बायर की अप्रूवल नहीं आती है, ये बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट में सेल्स तब तक नहीं माना जा सकता, ऑल्दो द गुड्स माइट बी ऑलरेडी लाइंग इन द फैक्ट्री ऑफ द बायर। सो दीज आर द ब्रॉड प्रिंसिपल्स, लाइक आई सेड, ट्रांसफर ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड। काफी हमने देखे हैं कि अलग अलग इंको टर्म्स, दिस इज द टर्मिनोलॉजी दैट इज यूज, जैसे एक्स फैक्ट्री होता है, फ्री ऑन रेल, एफओ फ्री ऑन रेल होता है कि रेलगाड़ी में माल को चढ़ा दिया, सामान को चढ़ा दिया है, देन दी ओनरशिप ट्रांसफर्स। तो ऐसे काफी टेक्निकल टर्म्स है, इनको टर्म्स है। तो हर एक इनको टर्म्स में अलग अलग स्टेज में रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड ट्रांसफर होते हैं। जैसे मैंने बोला, एक्स फैक्ट्री में, फैक्ट्री के बाहर एक बार सामान निकाल दिया है तो वो सेल्स रिकॉग्नाइज हो जाता है, बिकॉज सामने वाले की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, बायर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वहां पे स्टार्ट होती है। तो ऐसे सारे प्रावधान है AS 9 में। सर्विसेज की बात करें तो सर्विसेज में लिखा है इट हैज टू बी फॉलोड ऑन दी परसेंटेज ऑफ कंप्लीशन बेसिस, POCM, जो हम लोग शॉर्ट में टिपिकली अकाउंटिंग पार्लेंस में बोलते हैं, परसेंटेज ऑफ कंप्लीशन बेसिस। क्योंकि जो प्रोजेक्ट साइकिल है वो काफी लंबी रहती है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई मैं सारा एंड में रिकॉग्नाइज करूं, सारा पहले रिकॉग्नाइज करूं। तो उसमें भी अलग अलग है कि आप अलग अलग स्टेज वाइज आप उसको रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकते हो। सो दीज आर द वेरियस एस्पेक्ट्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द रिकॉग्निशन ऑफ रेवेन्यू एज फार एज गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज आर कंसर्न। एंड सिमिलर इंटरेस्ट का भी है कि आप टाइम पर्पस, समझ लीजिए फिक्स डिपॉजिट आपने बैंक में रखी है एज अ बिजनेसमैन, तो 31 मार्च में अक्रूवल बेसिस पे फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ डिपॉजिट या फ्रॉम द बिगनिंग ऑफ द ईयर टिल 31 मार्च जो भी इंटरेस्ट अक्रू होता है, चाहे वो आपके बुक्स, आपके अकाउंट में उसको क्रेडिट नहीं मिला हो आपको, बट स्टिल अक्रूवल बेसिस पे आपको टाइम प्रोपोर्शन बेसिस पे रिकॉग्नाइज करना चाहिए। वैसे ही रॉयल्टी, डिविडेंड्स, वो सारे के प्रोविजंस है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन अंडर अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 9। इन्वेंट्री की बात करें तो इन्वेंट्री का अलग अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड है, जैसे मैंने बताया आपको, AS2 अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 2, इट टॉक्स अबाउट द इन्वेंट्रीज। एक बेसिक प्रिंसिपल, जैसा हमने रेवेन्यू में बोला, ट्रांसफर ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड, और यस, बिफोर आई फॉरगेट, एक और अलग इंपॉर्टेंट क्राइटेरिया है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू सर्टेनिटी ऑफ रियलाइजेशन ऑफ द अमाउंट। आई फॉरगॉट टू मेंशन दैट। रेवेन्यू रिकग्निशन में हमने बेच दिया, वी हैव मेड द सेल्स, बट एज अ बिजनेसमैन मेरे को कितनी सर्टेनिटी है कि जो मेरा कस्टमर है वो पैसे देगा मेरे को। इफ देर इज एनी अनसर्टेनिटी कि वो पैसा नहीं देगा या नहीं दे पाएगा, तो समझिए वो NCLT में है या कोर्ट केस चल रहा है, कुछ भी रीजन हो, तो वो रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर सकते इफ देर इज अनसर्टेनिटी ऑफ रेवेन्यू। सो 2 कंडीशंस, बेसिक कंडीशंस, ट्रांसफर ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड एंड सर्टेनिटी ऑफ रियलाइजेशन। तो वैसे ही हम जब इन्वेंट्री की बात करें तो एक बेसिक प्रोविजन ऐसा है दैट इन्वेंट्री की जो वैल्यू मेरे को बैलेंस शीट में या बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट में कैरी करनी है, दैट शुड बी लोअर ऑफ कॉस्ट और नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू। नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू मीन्स के वो जो प्रोडक्ट है, जो सामान है, इफ आई सेल इन द मार्केट, तो आज मेरे को वो कितना मिलेगा। मेरी कॉस्ट प्राइस है, जो मेरी परचेज प्राइस है, और मेरी जो सेलिंग प्राइस है, उसमें से जो भी लेस है, विच एवर इज लोअर, दैट हैज टू बी माई इन्वेंट्री। सो दिस इज द बेसिक प्रिंसिपल। अभी इन्वेंट्री की जो वैल्यूएशन है हमारे अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 2 में, वो भी बताया है कि मेजरमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स जो हम बोल रहे थे कि उसमें क्या क्या कॉस्ट आ सकती है। So one is the cost of purchase, कि हम कोई भी सामान purchase करते हैं. Let us say if I am talking of a pharmaceutical company, एक manufacturer है, छोटी pharma company का है, तो उसका raw material जो purchase होता है, that would be the cost of purchase. उसमें उसने GST pay किया होगा, let us say imported होगा तो customs duty या कुछ भी pay किया है. उसमें से अगर to the extent जो ITC उसको मिलेगा, जो credit उसको वापस मिलेगा from the government, that will not form part of my cost of purchase. बाकी मेरा जो cost of purchase है, उसमें freight inward as well as all the duties and taxes which are non-refundable plus the actual cost of material, ये सारा add होगा. तो वो रॉ मटेरियल में आया, अभी वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जा रहा है, तो मेरा जो वर्क इन प्रोसेस है या फिनिश गुड्स है, उसमें सारे ओवरहेड्स, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग रिलेटेड जो भी ओवरहेड्स है with respect to factory labor, depreciation of the plant and machinery on the factory equipments, factory maintenance, rent, ये सारे जो भी प्रोडक्शन रिलेटेड जो भी एक्सपेंसेस है, वो सारे उसमें लोड होंगे फॉर कमिंग टू द इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन विच वी टिपिकली से एज द कॉस्ट ऑफ कन्वर्जन and the other overheads. So ये सारे मिला के that will be part of the inventory valuation. Very important thing, last thing however is के interest and borrowing cost. जो बिजनेसमैन अगर देते हैं, उन्होंने लोन ली है, कैश क्रेडिट है, टर्म लोन है या प्राइवेट लोन से कुछ भी है, interest and borrowing cost can never be part of my inventory because they are not the cost of, again principally बोले, what is to be added to the cost is those amounts which are required to be incurred for bringing the inventory to the present location and condition. So interest is a cost of managing the holding the inventory, not to bring it to the present location and condition, and therefore interest borrowing costs cannot be capitalized, and all the other costs which are with respect to inventory for bringing to the present location and condition, that can be as my cost of inventory. So the two standards, AS9 for revenue recognition and AS2 for inventories. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vishal Bhai, for covering these important standards. In fact, you have covered, in very detail and I think in a simple language what AS9 and what AS2. And of course, like Pramodji covered, that there are a number of standards. Like that, we have standards for employee benefits. We have accounting standards for property, plant, equipment. We have accounting standards for leases. We have accounting standards for, even for listed companies to prepare their financial statements for quarterly results. So all those standards which are relevant and to be followed for proper recognition, measurement, and presentation and disclosure, these are to be followed by the entities. So continuing, Vishal Bhai, with what you have taken up, of course, we have, not heard Daya Bhai for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. So we request one question from Daya Bhai to please, tell us, why these standards would really be important, if they are important for the businesses. If yes, then, how would it be if these businessmen, or I would say the organization entities follow, and what are the advantages?
Bhai, actually, I was thinking that you were asking me to ask question to you. So now you are asking. But however, I think a fantastic coverage by Vishal Bhai, Pramod Bhai, both. Sir, आप एक सवाल अभी पूछे थे, why do you follow accounting standard, right? वही है ना, why do we have to follow? Now, अभी अपने एक बहुत simple logic में बताता हूँ सर, ठीक है? Accounting standard का importance या standardization का importance, right? आज हम 4 लोग बैठे हैं स्क्रीन पे, right? You are wearing a suit, Vishal Bhai is wearing a suit, Pramod Bhai is wearing a suit, I am wearing a kurta. So the point is, synchronization is something which is very important in financial reporting. यानी हम सब एक जैसे दिखना. Standardization is something which is very important in the entire process. मैं अगर सूट भी किसी और का मांग के पहनूं तो भी मेरे पे अच्छा नहीं दिखेगा, right? So my logic of explaining accounting standards and compliance of accounting standards is only to ensure the synchronization is always on the top. Standardization is always on the top. And most important part is symmetry, which we need to follow. That all looks similar. When I have to do, as a banker, I need to do a comparison. For this 3 people or 4 people, you 3 people will stand out and I will be pushed out. Logic is very simple. Because how you present, because मेरा income, मेरा expenditure, मेरी asset, मेरा liability, मेरी हर चीज सिंक्रोनाइज जब दिखेगी, तो बैंकर को कंपेयर करने के लिए एक कॉन्फिडेंस जरूर आएगा कि ये एक सिमेट्री अप्रोच, एक स्टैंडर्डाइज अप्रोच में फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बने हुए हैं. अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, जो स्टैंडर्ड्स आर यूज्ड फॉर स्टैंडर्डाइजिंग सर्टेन थिंग्स. अकाउंटिंग को स्टैंडर्डाइज करने के लिए अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बोलते हैं. So this becomes a very important part in time to come. It was relevant in past also, but the most important part is जब हम एक ग्रोथ स्टोरी बनाने की बात कर रहे हैं, विश्व गुरु भारत बनने की बात कर रहे हैं, हमको कहीं नहीं तो कहीं अपने आप को एक ऐसे तरीके से प्रोजेक्ट करना है जहां पे गवर्नेंस इज ऑन द टॉप, ट्रांसपेरेंसी इज ऑन द टॉप, and most importantly, credibility is unquestionable. That is the most important point with regards to the accounting standards.
Thank you, Daya bhai. I think rightly mentioned the governance, the transparency, and of course, the compliances to which the expectation of the government and regulators which are there. That's the, I think, real key for any business for maintaining their books of accounts and following these accounting standards. So rightly mentioned, and I think Pramodji, we have spoken about accounting standards, but there are participants who are also keen to know. Of course, there are accounting standards we are following for years. There are entities which are following it for years, but there are certain set of, there is a financial statement format. Now we talk about the financial statements, which is as per the schedule 3, if I say, for under the Companies Act, but company knows they have to follow, they've been following it. But there are formats of financial statements which the proprietorship, partnership firms, LLPs, they are still unaware that what are the formats of financial statements which is to be followed. Is there any act which governs these financial statements? If there are any such formats, I would certainly like you to cover and tell the participants. I think probably they would be very happy to know, because they are the ones who are preparing the financial statements and maybe following a different format. I think this would be a right forum for you to explain also that what standard formats to be followed. Pramodji, please.
Thank you, Abhay bhai. Very, very rightly pointed out by Daya bhai. Starting with what, like Vishal bhai said, account keeping is required, then accounting standards are to be followed. There I said that why accounting standards are important, but what is the end product of all this bookkeeping and accounting and compliance of accounting standards? In my view, that end result is basically like a report card. You go for a test, you do whatever, what is there, end is a report. So a report is basically in the format of financial statements. Whatever you may be doing in your business practices, yes, there could be certain differences which businessman knows very well. So whatever they are doing on their shop floor or the professionals they are doing, but whatever they want to reflect, okay, what is my overall earnings, my expenditures, my assets, my liabilities that come into format of a financial statement. That is my financial statements comprising of balance sheet, profit, loss or income expenditure, certain categories, cash flow. These are the basic things which are required and which are prepared on a periodic basis. Like for companies, it is mandatory to have the year ending as on 31st March every year. Also for limited liability parties under that act, it is 31st March every year. For companies, of course, they can have a different financial year subject to approval of the RD depending on certain compliances, but 31st March. Under income tax also, the returns have to be filed as on 31st March. So in India, globally, the date is 31st December every year, calendar year. In India, currently we're having a financial year that is from April to March. So keeping your books of accounts, maintaining it, complying with accounting standards, we have to, every entity has to prepare a financial statement comprising of balance sheet, profit statement of profit loss, and of course, the cash flow wherever it is required as per the standards. Now, in which format is to be prepared? If I talk about companies, yes. Or even if I talk about, say, bankers, they've got the Banking Regulation Act. For electricity, they've got Electricity Act, which are prescribing the formats. For general, if I say businesses, under the Companies Act, of course, as Abhay sir said, Schedule 3, which prescribe formats for companies who are following Ind AS, which are not following Ind AS. So 3 divisions are there. So the compliance of these 3 schedules, the Schedule 3 has to be made by the companies. For other than companies, various proprietorship partnerships, they are following their own systems somewhere or others. Some may use a T form, some may use a different form, some may take a printout from their accounting software. But recently, looking into that, there has to be harmonization, there has to be standardization, because if we want to really achieve the growth which we want, the business growth, the business comparability, the bankers, the regulators, the stakeholders, internationally, whatever we want, the financial formats have to be standardized, and ICAI has issued the formats in a standardized format for even the non-companies, proprietorship partners, societies and others, and even the LLPs. And that is basically, if I talk about basically 2 things out there, giving current year, previous year figure, and the format is nearly to what there is in Schedule 3, which most of the entities have been doing it, and that have been prescribed, and that has been appreciated by all the regulators. That will really help. These formats will really help small and medium businesses, because organized corporates are already doing it. Other than corporates, when they are following these formats, these formats which have been prescribed by ICAI is followed world over in the same format. So when you prepare your financial statement in their formats, you are ready to grow internationally. You're ready to grow internationally. So these formats have been prescribed by the institute. The formats in the Excel format is there on the institute's website, ASB website, asb.ici.org. Contact your nearest professional who is preparing your financial statements. He will guide you, and let us all grow together and put our reporting in this financial statement format which has been prescribed, because they are being followed world over on the same basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pramodji. I think rightly mentioned that these financial statements as per Schedule 3 already available and are as per the Companies Act to be mandatorily followed by the companies. But from Institute of Chartered Accountants, through the Accounting Standard Board, under your guidance and leadership, and through Vishal Bhai and the team, we have also, prepared the financial statements for non-corporate entities. And certainly, like you said, that these are standard formats for them, for the regulators, in case you want the company to be converted in future from partnership to company, or you looking for a growth. I'm sure these formats would be very useful, because it gives, like Pramodji mentioned, the current year, the financial year, there is a standard set of format which has been prepared for partnership firm, for the sole proprietorship, and for other entities, which should definitely be followed, because going forward, even the banks, the financial institutions would also require that a standard format is being maintained and followed by the borrower. So I think this formats would really be useful, and definitely would request every participant, if they can go to the ASB website or the nearest chartered accountants, would help them to have these formats, so that you start preparing your financial statements in these formats in time to come. So continuing with what Pramodji mentioned, thereby would like, what are the benefits if I'm a small businessman, I am preparing my financial statements in Excel. It's just debits, credits, the balance sheet, the profit and loss accounts, the notes and other schedules which I've been preparing for years. But now, since we have a standard formats of financial statements for even small business houses, what you think would be the benefit to these small businessmen if they start preparing their financial statements in these formats which are prescribed by ICAI? Thereby, over to you.
Yeah. I'm just telling you. I'm just thinking how to word it. I was just thinking on a different line when Pramod Bhai was talking about, and I was thinking, so many people, so many citizens in the country require that literacy on the financial reporting framework. I'm just trying to evaluate and think, Pramod Bhai, I think there is a huge task for us as a council member, as an Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, as a member, as a student. How do we reach out to people and give this idea? Might be a small classroom, might be a small amount of understanding. We need to actually ensure that, this is how it looks and this is the benefit which is coming in. And when you talk about, when you talk about the financial reports to be prepared in that particular format, one very nice word Pramod Bhai used is about, credibility, right? In the discussion he used it. What I would say is the best accounts which are being presented in the desired format is only a half story. It's only a half story. Why it is half story? It is good accounting system which is being followed by an individual. But that requires a certification by someone, and no other person than someone is chartered accountant who has to certify that this account consciously in conformity with standards for best credibility in the entire ecosystem. So there are 3 C's in the process. One, a person, the SEE gives 3 C's. One, consciousness to prepare and maintain the books of account in a desired format, because otherwise we'll go in haywire direction. Everyone will prepare their own way of accounts. Number 2, it is in conformity, which will be certified by a chartered accountant. Yes, these are the accounts which are prepared in a particular format, which is desired by the regulations of the laws of various compliance which is to be done. And last thing is, it is going to give the credibility to the people. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this accounts which need to be prepared in a desired format undoubtedly are required to go through a particular process. There are a number of people who are actually doing it. And my request, मेरी सबसे please request है कि डॉक्टर के पास जाकर जब हम दवाई लेना चाहते हैं, डॉक्टर के पास जाकर हम ऑपरेट करना चाहते हैं, ऑपरेट करने के लिए भी बेस्ट डॉक्टर के पास जाना चाहते हैं, माय रिक्वेस्ट टू यू ऑल इज बेसिक अकाउंटिंग आप किसी से भी करवाएं, बट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज व्हेन यू वांट टू गेट इट सर्टिफाइड, जब आपको सर्टिफाई क्रेडिबिलिटी लाना है तो उसके लिए आप जाकर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट से जरूर मिलिए. There are multiple people who will provide these services and ensure that your financial reports are coming in line with the laws and regulations in the format which the nation wants for its better transparency. So that is my answer to this.
Thank you, Dayabhai. Thank you so much. And I think beginning with this, Vishal Bhai, now if as an entity, if I prepare my financial statements in the formats which are being prescribed by ICAI, and as a small businessman or a partnership firm, I start preparing these financial statements in the format. From the income tax point of view, from GST point of view, now I am preparing a financial statements in this format. Now, how it would benefit me from the income tax point of view, or from the GST point of view, or the other regulators accepting these financial statements in this format? So I think if you could just highlight on this issue.
Yeah, sure. Wait. So I'll again split this into 2 portions. One is maintaining a regular books of account, and also then in the prescribed format. On the advantages with respect to the income tax as well as with respect to GST. सबसे पहले तो रेगुलर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट मेंटेन करने से सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज है दैट द बिजनेसमैन इज अवेयर अबाउट द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ हिज बिजनेस with respect to profitability, प्रबोध भाई ने बोला with respect to assets, with respect to liabilities. और आज compliances जो है income tax में भी बोले, GST में भी if we cover, there are numerous compliances even on the small businessman. सिंपल बात करूं तो TDS डिडक्शन की जो लायबिलिटी का आता है, अभी उससे भी हम देखें कि प्रोफेशनल्स है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स है, उसमें अलग अलग थ्रेशोल्ड्स प्रिस्क्राइब किए गए हैं कि बिलो अ थ्रेशोल्ड टीडीएस डिडक्ट नहीं करना है, बियॉन्ड अ सर्टेन थ्रेशोल्ड टीडीएस आपको डिडक्ट करना है. तो अगर रेगुलर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट मेंटेन करेंगे तो बिजनेसमैन को पता चलेगा सही टाइम के थ्रेशोल्ड कब ब्रीच हुआ है और कब टीडीएस की उनकी लायबिलिटी आती है, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आती है. सिमिलरली एडवांस टैक्स की बात करें तो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी अगर रेगुलर बेसिस पे डिटरमिन होता है विद प्रॉपर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट एंड ऑल्सो हैविंग द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स प्रिपेयर्ड इन अ स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्मेट, in a prescribed format, then जो एडवांस टैक्स की लायबिलिटी आती है, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आती है, वो भी अंडर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट बिजनेसमैन वो प्रॉपरली कर सकता है, कैलकुलेशन करके टैक्स की जो डिस्चार्ज करना होता है उसको, जो 15 जून, 15 सितंबर, 15 दिसंबर एंड 15 मार्च जो 4 एडवांस टैक्स की डेट्स आती है, दैट ऑल्सो बिजनेसमैन वुड बी एबल टू कंप्लाई एज पर द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. आगे वो इफ अगेन एक्सटेंडेड के जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स जब रिटर्न फाइलिंग का प्रोसेस आता है तो इफ द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट आर मेंटेन रेगुलरली एंड आल्सो सपोर्टिंग द प्रिस्क्राइब्ड फॉर्मेट, तो बिजनेसमैन जब ऑडिट्स के लिए जाते हैं तो दे फर्स्ट इज दैट दे आर एबल टू क्लोज देयर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट इन अ फास्ट एंड आई वुड से ऑन अ टाइमली मैनर. लेट अस से 31 मार्च ईयर एंडिंग है तो हमने देखे हैं ऐसे काफी बिजनेसमैन को in all of us in our practice have seen that जो regular books of account maintain करते हैं और prescribed format follow करते हैं, तो by March and June end they are ready with their financial statements, they are ready to get the books of account audited and then the compliance and everything happens और वो आराम से return file कर सकते हैं. And in case there is any tax liability as a self assessment tax, तो वो भी crystallize identify जल्दी हो जाती है, by which the businessman is able to save interest with respect to लेट फाइलिंग ऑफ द टैक्सेस विच अदरवाइज हैपेंस अगर आप लास्ट में सब कुछ करते हैं. तो मेंटेनिंग बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट इन इनकम टैक्स इज डेफिनेटली हेल्पफुल. और रिटर्न फाइलिंग प्रोसेस में भी, क्योंकि प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस बैलेंस शीट के सारे आइटम्स के नंबर्स उसमें रिटर्न फाइलिंग में एंटर करने होते हैं, तो व्हेन द प्रिस्क्राइब्ड फॉर्मेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैज बीन फॉलोड, देन रिटर्न फाइलिंग इजी होता है, कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ इनकम कैलकुलेट करना इजी होता है एंड ओवरऑल कंप्लायंस बिकम्स मच इजियर. When we talk of GST में भी having timely recording of books, purchase है, sales है, वो proper recording होता है, compliance होता है, and I believe, see, all of us know that ITC is something which is extremely important when we talk of GST, the input tax credit that small businessmen avail on their purchases or the input of services under the GST laws. And we all say that principally ITC is like hard cash. मतलब जो पैसा मैंने टैक्स में मेरे वेंडर को दिया है, that I am able to recover through the ITC. And there are many provisions under the GST laws जहाँ पे कि अगर वेंडर ने GST पे नहीं किया है तो एज अ बिजनेसमैन उसको ITC इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट नहीं मिलती है. अब रेगुलर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट मेंटेन करने से क्या होता है कि बिजनेसमैन को ये सारी जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट के जरिए से मिल सकती है कि आईटीसी का किस वेंडर ने फाइल नहीं किया है, कितना लॉस जा रहा है, एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कंप्लायंस. मंथली कंप्लायंस तो है ही जीएसटी में, तो ये सारा जो है वो बिजनेसमैन को काफी एनेबल कर देता है. एंड आई वुड से अगर प्रॉपर अकाउंटिंग हो, प्रॉपर सॉफ्टवेयर हो, प्रॉपर पर्सन में इन्वेस्ट किया है तो इट इज जस्ट एट अ क्लिक ऑफ अ बटन दैट ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन बिजनेसमैन को मिल सकती है, जिसपे वो इवन आधा पौना घंटा 1 घंटा भी स्पेंड करे इन अ मंथ तो उसको काफी इंफॉर्मेशन मिल सकती है, बाय विच दे कैन इंश्योर कि कंप्लायंसेस प्रॉपर हो रहे. एंड सेकंड इज दैट देयर इज नो लॉस इन द बिजनेस ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ एनी नॉन कंप्लायंस. एंड अल्टीमेटली जीएसटी में भी जब एनुअल रिटर्न वगैरह आता है तो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स are required for that, and following that set of financial statements on a prescribed format, it becomes much easier to do the compliance. That's from my side of the way.
Abhay sir, Abhay sir,
definitely.
I wanted to
Yes.
add something out here.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Further, what Vishal sir said, you just imagine that what Vishal sir said earlier, that recognition of revenue. Now, please take that how your accounting and how your financial statements are prepared. Now, your risk and reward has not transferred, but you have just issued sales for the purpose of further approval, and you recognize that as an revenue. My AS doesn't allow it, so I'll be paying tax on that. So how I'll be preparing my financial statements, or for that matter, I would say when I on a service basis, when I say I am doing a construction activity, and on percentage completion method, I recognize my revenue in the books of accounts, but my GST invoice is raised when that landmark arises. So how my accounting goes, that threshold comes. So my accounting, my taxation, my income tax would be dependent upon that. Or for that example, I would say inventories. Very rightly said by Vishal sir that it is lower of cost and net realizable value, or in normal parlance say cost of market price, which is lower. The exact terminology is lower of cost and net realizable value. Suppose you have purchased certain goods which you have to sell, say for rupees 1 lakh. On 31st March, its actually market value is 80,000, and you keep on accounting for that on 1 lakh. But the standard says that it should be lower of cost and net realizable value. So you have to value it at 80,000. So that loss is allowed you in that year, not only as per my accounting standard, but also as per income tax. So that's why these accounting standards are very important, and based upon these accounting standards only, the Income Tax Department, CBDT, has issued income computation and disclosure standards, the 10 income computation and disclosure standards, which are mandatory. It is virtually same as per the AS. Or take another example. If we are not following the basic accounting standards, like fixed assets, when it would be capitalized, when the depreciation would be allowed, when it would be allowed as a revenue, my pre-operative expenditures, I'm doing certain expenditures and I feel that it should be capitalized, but my standard says that no self-generated goodwill cannot be accounted. तो आपको वो पूरा खर्चा मिलेगा income tax में. So that's why you have to follow those accounting standards. Or borrowing cost, कब interest को capitalize करना है, कब नहीं करना है, standards are there. So follow those standards, and these are same for the income tax purposes. So कब उस पे tax लगेगा, कब नहीं लगेगा, everything accounting standards. Just wanted to add Vishal bhai to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal bhai. Pramod bhai, I think rightly covered by both of you that why it is important from the accounting perspective and from the preparation of the financial statements, where the compliance is actually required by the income tax or by the GST. Why it is easy that timely preparing your books of accounts, you can deposit the advance tax and save interest penalty, which arises in future. So I think going forward with the income tax is one authority, GST is one authority. Thereby, I would like, you have an understanding of the banking industry. Like as a businessman, now I want to, I am preparing my books of accounts. I am preparing my financial statements in the format which is being prescribed. But how does it help, for me as a businessman to get finance? Will it really helps me to get finance? If you could highlight this issue of one of the participants.
Thank you very much, Abhay bhai. Why only business? Why not think about individual also? Kya Pramod bhai, am I right? Because the most important part जो सबसे critical है individual का. जो लोग तनख्वाह लेते हैं, Pramod bhai, you might have seen so many people who think that by getting the Form 16, that itself is a compliance to income tax requirement. A person who is limit of tax, मैं पहले इंडिविजुअल की बात करूंगा, फिर इसकी बैंकिंग मतलब बिजनेस की बात करूंगा. Vishal bhai, you be agree also. I think you always have a different opinion, so I'm just trying to put forward And wherever you both think that, we can actually add value to people understanding, that is very important. See, when we talk about individual, ek tankha pesha aadmi, a person who is a salaried employee, thinks that, by deduction of his tax, right, under Form 16, he has done the compliance. Now, second part, there is a person who is earning close to 10 lakh rupees, which is below the threshold limit of tax. He thinks that I am exempted from filing income tax return. Now, Abhay bhai, both cases, what is the problem? The problem is very simple. When this gentleman has to go to a bank and ask for a housing loan, education loan for his child, right? Or any other event which is happening in his house, for that he wants a small amount of loan from the banking system, will he get bank loan? The answer is he has to run pillar to post to demonstrate that this Form 16 is authentic, that income tax जो वहां से निकालेगा 26A से निकाल के वो document देगा. उसके बदले, if these two people file their income tax return on regular time, automatically that will become an authentic document over a period of time that this income is earned by them, and that return can be used by this individual for their individual loan facility. Pramod bhai agreed? Right? Vishal bhai agreed? तो सब लोगों को ये समझना जरूरी है कि आपका टैक्स थ्रेशोल्ड से नीचे भी इनकम है, तो इसका मतलब आप नहीं फाइल करेंगे तो चलेगा नहीं. जब आपको जरूरत है कुछ नहीं चलेगा, जब जरूरत है कुछ नहीं चलेगा. So it is important that you all become a responsible citizen to file your income tax return, which is very important, which will be a third party authentication that yes, you are a true citizen in the process. Now, let me come to the business. We discussed a lot about the compliance, standardization of reporting, financial statement to be prepared by a proprietor, individual, or might be a partnership firm or a LLP or a corporate body. Most important part, which everyone has to understand, is it is actually demonstrating your discipline towards your business. The financial statements, when you are talking about, it is a discipline which you have followed structurally and ensured that this is being done on year basis. That means you are very serious with your business. You are actually recording all the transactions which are required to be done, which is not only forced by law, but individual force also is there for doing that compliance effectively. When this is demonstrated for more than 2, 3, 4 years consecutively, these financial statements actually become a report card which is certified, which is being vetted. यानी इसका मतलब ये हुआ जो अपना डिजिलॉकर के अंदर हमारा लाइसेंस है ना सर, डिजिलॉकर के अंदर लाइसेंस है, आईडी कार्ड्स हैं, वो ऑथेंटिक है, हमको बार बार लाकर दिखाना नहीं पड़ेगा. डिजिलॉकर में एक बार चढ़ गया तो सॉफ्ट कॉपी भी चलेगी. That is the credibility of that income tax or GST or whatever returns you follow. So the most important part when you talk from a banking sector, the banking sector also is driven by human intelligence and human interference. That means a human cannot take a decision on his own. It has to depend on certain other documents. And those documents are creating your credibility in the process. And this is going to be furthermore and more required in time to come to demonstrate. And if you want a growth, it is very important that you need to comply with all these things. So
Thank you, Jayabhai. And rightly mentioned, books of accounts properly maintained in the prescribed format, whether it is income tax, whether it is GST, or whether it is in banking. If a same set, a uniform set has been followed by every entity, every organization, whether it's a corporate, whether it's a partnership or a proprietorship concern, when you get into this discipline and start following proper formats of financial statements, preparing your books of accounts, preparing your financial statements in the format which is desired, I believe every regulator, once they start seeing the standards format across all business sectors, entities, they would definitely get that feeling or that comfort of discipline that this particular entity has ensured compliance, whether it's in income tax, whether it's in GST, or where any other authority where is required, because they are following that set of standards, set of formats which have been prescribed. They are following that proper books of accounts are ensured. So I think rightly mentioned. Pramod bhai, just to continue this discussion, one of the points raised is that how, of course, I have talked about the income tax, we've talked about the GST, we've talked about the banking. Now, if I want to grow, the real objective of this webinar also, that how the accounting and preparing the financial statements, the accounting standards being followed, how then, as a business would help globally, not just in domestic, but even internationally. I think there's one point which the participant would like to know, if they want to reach overseas, how this all would help them to or achieve this objective.
Abhay, very rightly, very, very good question. And in fact, this should be shared with all our panelists. Once these financial statements are prescribed, are prepared in compliance with the accounting standards and the prescribed format. Now, these accounting standards are same world over, point number one. These financial statement formats are followed same world over. So now if you want to grow and you present your financial statements in these formats after due compliance with the accounting standard to any international investor, global investor, he understands that within a minute. And if they are properly and if they are audited by a chartered accountant and a member in practice, they have that credibility too. So they have a faith, they have a confidence, they have that comparability, they can understand the same formats. And they would really understand, go through those financial statements, understanding it, and then they will decide whether to invest into that. Of course, their due diligence, etc. process will be there. But if you are having a different financial statement formats, not following accounting standards, there would be no scope in going global, inviting a private equity or an investor in India or outside India, anywhere. But if you're following this, having proper financial statements, complying with accounting standards, of course, you will be doing it over the years. So these financial statements, your report card for the year would help you in attracting not only finances, but stakeholders. Now, suppose you want to get your business valued. What would be the basis? Of course, your brand, your customer base, your future earnings would be there. But these financial statements would be forming the basis. And again, what rightly said by Daya sir earlier also, that how serious you are about your business, how you are preparing it, how you are following the standards in preparation your financial statements becomes very, very important for any investor to come and invest into. So if we all really want that we should go globally, we have to give. Sometimes we feel that this accounting is mere compliance and it is not giving me revenue. My only salesperson are giving revenue, so giving it a bit sidelines. No, it is not that way, because ultimately, whosoever is going to see your reports, it would be the financial statements only. So please ensure that they are prepared as per the accounting standards in the proper formats. That would really help you in inviting various investors out there. Comments here on both of my other panelists and even the moderator.
I fully agree, Pramod bhai. और मैं तो ऐसा मानता हूं कि आप फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स जो भी स्टेक होल्डर्स को देते हैं, आप जैसे बात हो इनकम टैक्स, जीएसटी, बैंकर्स, इन्वेस्टर्स, फाइनेंस, अल्टीमेटली आप कैसे प्रेजेंट करते हो उससे भी आपकी बिजनेस की ब्रांडिंग होती है. सो इट्स नॉट कि आप दुकान के बाहर में नियॉन साइन लगाया ब्रांडिंग होती है, डेफिनेटली होती है, बट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स भी एक टूल है आपके आपके लिए, जहां पे आप जो प्रेजेंटेशन प्रॉपर करे, अकाउंटिंग प्रॉपर करे, डिस्क्लोजर प्रॉपर करे, कंप्लायंसेस प्रॉपर करे, तो आपके फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स कैन ऑल्सो बी वन ऑफ द वेज इन विच यू आर ब्रांडिंग योरसेल्फ एंड योर बिजनेस. आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर ओवर हियर.
So, Abhay, continuing with one important factor. See, a large organization has a very qualitative CFO. A large organization has maybe few tons of chartered accountants and company secretary, cost accountants, or any other professional like MBA and all. But when we talk about the startups, when we talk about the MSME sector which is there, we are really happy that ICAI has ensured that the startup ecosystem is very well supported by ICAI by doing handholding. We also have the concept of, in every branch, 166 branches, we also have the MSME support system, which is primarily to mentor those people who do not have the knowledge. And this is not a chargeable service which ICAI is giving. It is free of cost. When you are talking to us, friends, you are listening to us, आप सब लोग हमको सुन रहे हैं. आज भी हम क्या करना चाहते हैं इंस्टीट्यूट से? हम चाहते हैं एक श्रेष्ठ भारत रहे हमारे साथ, या हम एक श्रेष्ठ भारत में रहें. अगर हम श्रेष्ठ भारत में रहना चाहते हैं तो हमको श्रेष्ठ हर जगह से बनना पड़ेगा. And श्रेष्ठ उसके साथ सेहतमंद means we have to be healthy, not only physically and mentally, but also financially. This is something which we all have to understand. And please, 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 Institute of Chartered Accountants of India के किसी भी member और किसी भी student के पास चले जाना और मांग लेना कि मुझे कुछ support दे दो, and you will see that ICAI, even the youngest member, is going to stand with you and going to give you that support of ensuring that you grow, because it is only chartered accountant profession which feels happy by heart, happy by mind if its client grows, if his neighbor grows. And any person who comes to us, we have been a track record of 73 years to give a free advice. We are not having a history of very small time, 73 years. Pramod bhai, you also will agree. Vishal bhai, you will agree. Abhay bhai, you will agree. I think each one of us, we all come from a lineage where our fathers, we are proud students or members of the student whose parents are also chartered accountants. And we have seen our fathers doing a free service to the entire nation by guiding all our clients, all our friends, all the people, because their growth has given us full amount of satisfaction. So friends, ये सारे डिस्कशन का मैं तो एक ही चीज बोल सकता हूँ, we all are available. जितने भी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, it's a very simple process. Only thing is right man, right time, right advice matters. That's the only thing which I can tell you.
Thank you so much, Pramod ji, Vishal bhai, Daya bhai. I think we covered most of our questions, and I think we are almost on our.
Abhay sir, just
yes.
Few questions. I know that we are nearing our time. Just few questions from our participants. Like one of the question which has come one or two times, like for professionals, when there is a 50 lakh rupees, up to 50 lakh rupees, they can go with section 44 ADA with a presumptive basis. So where there is a requirement of books of accounts. Vishal sir, you want to answer this? Or okay, I'll just add out here. Yes, income tax has, as we have discussed in the initial at that time itself, that they have given certain exemptions. But in that case also, they have prescribed the books of accounts. The only exemption would be not explaining the expenditures, but the fund flow to be required. That's why if you see in ITR 4 also, which you have mentioned in your query also, that ITR 4, they say presumptive basis. They again say that, okay, give 4 items or 6 items, whatever you want to give, but at least cash, bank and others. because they need to have the funds flow. So books are required. They won't be asking you the expenditure, but yeah, books of accounts are. But yes, smaller entities, of course, they are not emphasizing much on that. Another question is regarding GST. They say under GST whether cash system is also allowed. There, both options are there. Vishal sir.
So I would say that GST law as such, in my view, does not prescribe any method of accounting. So cash as well as accrual or mixed, any of the method is permitted under GST, but you have to ensure the compliances with respect to the sales, the purchase, ITC that is prescribed specifically under the GST law.
Just to add out here, Vishal sir, under GST, they want the tax on the accrual basis. Then, of course, not prescribing the accounting system, but it is on the accrual basis, whichever happens earlier. So what is happening that entities who are following cash system of accounting, say professionals like advocates, chartered accountants, company secretaries, many of them are following cash system of accounting. So they are, for the GST purposes, they are following the accrual system, but for their books of accounts, financial statements, income tax, they are following the cash system of accounting. So just wanted to say that. Just taking there are various questions. I really thank all the participants for appreciating this webinar for the benefit of all. Just last question which I want to take is regarding a good question, Vishal Bhai, for you. If a company procures raw materials based on a purchase order from their client to manufacture a product, and after procurement and payment to their vendors, if client asks them to hold the manufacturing due to market reasons and willing to pay for the materials procured, can the company show that material cost as revenue?
So, see, how I would look at it is that first of all, whether the material has been consumed in the process, that the client has given some order and the businessman has manufactured, and then the client has asked the order to be kept on hold with the condition that the material cost will be reimbursed. Now, in such a situation, whatever is the manufacturing that has been done with respect to that product, I would look from that perspective that whether that is manufacturing exclusively for that client or not. If it is exclusively for that particular client and the businessman is not able to further manufacture or develop and sell to somebody else, if it is exclusively reserved for that client, then whatever is the reimbursement that comes from the client, that can be shown as a income against the raw materials that have been consumed in that process. And in such a case, therefore, since it has been consumed in the process and the income has come, the net realizable value, so that manufactured product is not delivered to the client, it is lying with the businessman. And because it has no other value, that product, when we say of accounting standard 2, inventory cost or net realizable value, whichever is zero, the inventory would be valued at zero. And the money that the reimbursement comes can be taken as a revenue to offset against the raw material cost.
Thank you very much, Vishal Bhai. One question which is asked is that are accounting standards issued by ICAI recognized by any other foreign country? Just for the information of members, the accounting standard which are issued by ICAI is literally, I would say, very nearly same in around 190 countries. It is same. It is not different. It is same. One last thing, just an information which has been asked by one of the members is that where to have these formats of the financial statements for proprietorship partnerships. As stated earlier, I will again state that these are available on the website of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. If you want to know that website, again, I'll repeat, asb.icai.org. asb.ici.org. You'll go into that place. You'll go for the accounting standards. And there for non-corporates, you'll find that link, even the Excel format. You'll have that. So thank you very much. We have exceeded beyond the time. And
thank you.
Thanks, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Pramod Bhai. Thank you, Dev Bhai and Vishal Bhai, for taking up, I think, the basic importance of accounting and preparation of financial statements and why it is important, from not just from regulators' point of view, but even for the income tax, for GST authorities, and for the banking, and how we can grow the business when we actually get into a discipline of preparing, maintaining the books of accounts, and can also reach out overseas globally and do business, not just domestic, but internationally. And I think we have taken up these basic understanding, basic questions. And there was one of these suggestions which participants gave, that you should have more and more such programs. Definitely, from the Accounting Standard Board and from the Financial and Tax Literacy Group, which is of ICI, and doing number of programs for non-professionals also, where we cover, the basic understanding of accounting, what is the financial and tax literacy, what is the compliances, income tax, GST, and other compliances to be done. There's one question which was asked, that you speak about CSR. Of course, all these areas which we'll certainly like and would like to cover in regular programs through the ASB and through the FTF, in the interest of the citizens. For members, we have been organizing regular programs, but more importantly for common man, for societies, for citizens, so that they understand the real need of accounting, why it is important, why they get into this discipline, and the role of ICI as a chartered accountant. Our role is actually, real role is played where we have spoken about partners in nation building. I think there we would play a real role, where we reach out to non-professionals, to these members, and make them understand the entire concept of accounting, preparing financial statements. So thank you so much, Pramod Bhai, Deya Bhai, Vishal Bhai. Thanks to the team of ICI, Shalini, Kuldeep, Parminder ji, S.N. Gupta ji. We have taken up these questions, and I think we've tried to reach out to every corner of the country, not just country, internationally also. And thank you, participants, for being here for 2 hours, listening to us, getting clarifications on the accounting and financial statements issues, the accounting standards requirement, and the compliances. So thank you one and all for your active participations today, and look forward to see you again in any programs which has been initiated by ICI. Would definitely require your participation to make this webinar successful in future. Thank you one and all. And with this, I end this webinar by expressing my gratitude to each one of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.